This is Sky Sports Live.
The surfers' paradise of Durban on South Africa's east coast provides the spectacular backdrop for this week's A1GP action. The tight and tricky street circuit will guarantee plenty of drama.
No! They hit! Unbelievable! Oh, and he's hit the wall! And he's hit it big time.
Time is running out for Great Britain. They need a win. Last season, Robbie Kerr finished second in the feature, but Ollie Jarvis gets the call this time, hoping to add to his impressive record of 4 podiums and 2 wins from 10 races. This year's championship looks like going down to the wire, and with New Zealand and France tied on 96 points and Switzerland just 3 behind, every race is crucial. Expect no quarter to be given in Durban.
And down the inside goes Johnny Reid. What a drive by this man, Loic Jubal.
Welcome to South Africa's very own Monte Carlo, Durban. Today, it's race day. For the first time in A1GP history, the top 2 nations, New Zealand and France, are level on points. The closest battle we've seen in the series to date is just about to take another twist as teams and drivers attempt to successfully negotiate the challenges of the Durban street race. As things stand, here's how they line up for race day. Team Canada have their first pole start courtesy of Robert Wickens. In second, Team Brazil, Bruno Junqueira putting in a massive performance yesterday. Championship leaders New Zealand are in third. Team GBR start alongside them on the second row. Fifth, Switzerland. For the feature, Neil Yarni lines up for his 4th pole start of the season. Canada also on that front row once more. New Zealand in third, GBR fourth. With me to watch the drama unfold, GBR's former team boss, John Surtees. John, how much are you looking forward to this race in Durban, being that it is the only street race of the A1GP calendar?
It's a fantastic scene. I mean, the setting couldn't be better. And, of course, the championship is a very exciting point with 2 time for the lead. But temperatures, etc., will play their part today because we're talking about 48 degrees. And that brings about many problems for the drivers in the build-up and also, of course, potentially for the cars.
How do they keep themselves rehydrated when that is the case?
Particularly for the longer race, they will make certain they've got their water bottles there because dehydration is a major problem because they will start one weight and they will certainly finish up another. So Weight Watchers, this is the way to do it.
Ladies, are you listening? A1GP is the race series for you. How impressed were you with Robert Wickens' performance yesterday?
Well, Robert, I've been watching since he was 16. I tried to get him in A1 a year ago, but he's come through Formula BMW and Formula Atlantic, and he's a prodigious talent. He's cool, calm and collected, and the first time on this circuit, getting it all together like this, it's wonderful.
The youngest ever A1GP pole sitter, 18 years, 11 months, 11 days old, if you really want all the stats, but that's the case, whatever. Do you think he can hold on to this lead in the sprint race that he currently has?
Well, of course, starting in pole position is very important going into that first corner. If you can get that tight line and you get there and no one sort of thumps you up the back or takes a wheel off, it's a tremendous advantage. So, yes, I think he's shown that coolness that he could do it. But all will depend on what happens around him because of that first corner.
And obviously we're keeping a close eye on the title race because it is perilously close at the moment. Top 2 level on points, Switzerland 3 off the pace. The rest of the chasing pack have certainly got some work to do, John. But in your opinion, is this still very much wide open?
Of course it's wide open, particularly with a street race like this, because so many incidents can happen which will totally transform the championship. I expect Oliver Jarvis to drive his normal cool type of race where he will certainly try and stay out of trouble. He won't necessarily be the fastest, but the fact remains is he will certainly be in there, and his driving style is superb for this type of circuit.
OK, John, thanks for the moment. So Durban, currently the only street circuit, as we've said, on the A1GP calendar. As such, it has been dubbed the jewel in the crown. John Watson's been test driving it. First, though, here's Lee Mackenzie.
The Durban streets are notoriously tough. John Watson got a masterclass from South Africa's Adrian Zaug.
Adrian, they say there are no guarantees in life, but there is one I can give you, and that is, it is possible to lose either the sprint or the feature race in the first corner.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, I experienced that myself last season here. Started midfield and I just got caught around this turn.
You've got a lot of track here. I mean, why does everybody dive to the inside of the corner when you've got space to go around and get clear?
Yeah, first of all, obviously the ideal line is to go as close to the wall as possible. And but also you want to stay on the inside, especially after the start, because what happens if you leave a gap, anyone will just try to dive inside and take your positions.
Turn 13, which starts way back there, reminds me of a child going to a fun fair, getting into the ghost ride. You just never know what's coming up next.
Yes, exactly. It's like just turning into the unknown. And especially the first couple of times you go through here, you just have the feeling it's never going to end, and you actually start to feel lost in the turn because it just goes on for so long. And also from a driving point of view, it's just so difficult to actually make out the apex, you know, because it just carries on forever.
Now, one question I have to ask you is this corner flat out, or have you got to breathe the engine all the way through it?
Yeah, it's definitely possible in qualifying. I did that in my last segment last season, but I wouldn't say with the fuel loads for the race, I won't say, but for qualifying it's possible.
Durban's our one and only street race of the season, 15 turns and 3.2 kilometres in length. And look at the bumps as you come into turn 1, Vodacom corner. Keep the car neat and tidy, as Adrian said, then accelerate out up to turn 2. Keep off the curbs as much as possible. Using them incorrectly will deflect the car from one side of the track into the other, and a wall is waiting to catch you. Into the Ericsson complex, very bumpy here in the right hand part. Car bumping one side of the track to the other, then back to the left. Hard on the throttle, up to the final part of the complex, turn 6 and 7. I'm not using much of the curb, but the regular racers will be. Turn 8 leads onto the main straight. Keep it neat in the entry, then let the car release on the exit. Now it's flat out, all the way up to 260 kilometers per hour before you got to get the anchors out to slow yourself down for turn 9. Down to second gear. Difficult to see the entry to the corner. A little bit of lock up. Be careful, John. Now hard on the power. Third gear. Back on the brakes. Into turn 10. Again, the curb on the inside can deflect you off into the wall on the outside. Then the little flick-flack. Left, right, left. Flat out if you're brave. Not for me. And immediately you're into Suncoast Boulevard, that never-ending corner where you pick up speed all the way through to the exit. Then hard on the brakes for the final turn. Turn 15. You compromise your line because of the bumps in the apex, but what fun it is to get back onto a proper street track here in Durban.
You can, of course, keep right up to date with who is driving today at the sprint and feature races. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a driver's crawl going along the bottom. Just a point to note, Narayan Karthikeyan isn't driving for Team India today. The doctors have given him the day off. That's because of a wrist tendon injury. Instead, Parthiva Sureshwaran will replace him. John, let's talk about this circuit then of Durban. How tough a race is this for the senses, in particular concentration, because at every corner there's a wall?
There's no time to rest. Certainly concentration levels are of the highest, and what is important, of course, is that you can't afford to come along and get sort of too reckless in the way you attack a corner. You've got to be as precise as possible and place your car in the right place. Road circuits generally improve all the time, these city type circuits. The surface gets more grip, and so as you go on, that grip is normally in a fairly confined line. Go offline and you get the rubber and the rest of it, the marbles, and you're in real problems. So it's a very high mental stress, and also from a point of view of physical, because certainly within these conditions you are going to be very, very hot indeed.
John, thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, it is the sprint race from the lively streets of Durban today. Welcome back to Surfers Paradise Durban. Today, though, it's also providing a temporary home for A1GP. Soaring temperatures in Durban, track temperatures in the region of 48 degrees Celsius. Testing conditions for those drivers today. Let's join our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards for the first of the race day action.
It's an absolutely stunning morning here in Durban as we prepare for the sprint race. Cars are already on the grid and South Africa, host nation, with a lot of work to do. Adrian Zaug lines up in 20th spot. A little further up, there's Oliver Jarvis for Team GBR. He starts in 4th place, second row for him with New Zealand. And then on the front row, Team Brazil's Bruno Junqueira. An excellent effort in qualifying to go that quick, but it's Canada that have taken their first ever pole position, and Rob Wickens is the youngest ever pole sitter in A1GP. So let's take a more detailed look at how they line up. Canada and Brazil together on the front row, New Zealand and Great Britain right behind Johnny Reid and Oliver Jarvis. But watch out from row number 3 because the Swiss car is in there, only 3 points behind New Zealand and France at the moment. Neil Yarni alongside Team Germany, then it's the Netherlands and Malaysia on row 4, Portugal and China on row number 5, and on row 6 Australia and Mexico. USA and Pakistan line up next, they're followed by Italy and France, long way down for Loic Duval, Czech Republic and Lebanon next up, followed by Indonesia and South Africa, and at the back it's Ireland and India. It's Rob Wickens on pole position, the youngest ever pole sitter, up against Bruno Junqueira, the oldest driver on the grid today. Is it going to be youthful enthusiasm or is it going to be experience that wins the day here? We're about to find out. We've got New Zealand and Great Britain behind. Lights go out, away we go, and we're racing in Durban. Great start from Team Canada, and a battle going on for third place with Great Britain trying to go around the outside. Great Britain going around the outside, trying to take second. New Zealand hits Canada. New Zealand hits Great Britain. More contact behind as well. Brazil drops out, and
Malaysia, and there was contact. New Zealand shoveled the nose of their car under the rear wing of Canada and literally had the rear wheels of the Canada car off the ground. There, Johnny Reid, he's made contact. He tried to be brave, and it's pained him dearly.
Czech Republic and Lebanon have been left at the first corner, the Vodacom hairpin, but the rest are up through Ericsson now. And what a good start it was by Team Canada's Rob Wickens. Great Britain is a second, Switzerland have gained third ahead of Brazil, and China have come up to fourth. Where did they cut? Fifth, I think, up to fifth. They started in 11th place.
Well, when we get a replay of that start into turn 1, you will see that the Brazil car and others were almost virtually at a standstill. Others managed to filter their way around, including Switzerland, and GBR, who were in the mix, kept out of trouble.
Well, Canada have certainly made the break on this. Oliver Jarvis trying to chase for Great Britain. Switzerland have gained out of all this. Their big rival, New Zealand, in big trouble on this opening lap. And as we know, France is well down the order as well. So there is the Black Beauty without a front wing. And poor Johnny Reid, it's gone wrong for him. His first ever street race. And he did seem to run into the back.
Oh, he made the mistake, no question about it. The Canada car was slowing down. Johnny Reid got a great start. He was wheel to wheel with Great Britain going into turn 1. He was tight on the inside. He really couldn't get the speed up to not hit the back of the Canada car. He lifted the Canada car's rear wheels off the ground and managed to shovel the car through the corner. Canada, I believe, are on damage, and they've got a 2.2 second advantage over Great Britain in second place.
Switzerland third, then Brazil in fourth place, China fifth, the Netherlands in sixth, Germany seventh, Australia. Oh, and there is that bit of damage to the front.
It is the front wing. The Brazil wing is also damaged. You can see it bobbling around. Whoa, almost out of control, going through the exit of the Ericsson complex.
Oh, Junqueira's going to be in trouble now. Now, did he run into the back of the Swiss car here? Yeah, that's why.
He did. And I thought he had contact also in the first lap. But that Bruno Junqueira, from a street track expert. Oh dear.
Well, now it's going to be China to try and get past him. And I tell you what, it's not going to be easy on a street track. Meanwhile, New Zealand into the pits, trying to get a new nose cone on the car. They rehearse this manoeuvre often and it's quick. But of course, he's going to be right at the back. Nobody else should be stopping in this race. It's only a sprint race. There are no pit stops. That's going to hurt New Zealand hugely.
Let's look again. Here's the start. Now look at the black car on the left of the screen. Bumps into the back of Canada. bumps, and again 3 times contact with Great Britain as well, and Brazil, and that's where the Swiss, they escaped all that. Malaysia clobbers the wall on the inside, and the Czech Republic and Lebanon here again on board. A great run down the outside from Oliver Jarvis, tries to close it out, but you can't see the contact that's going on with New Zealand. That's just over on the right hand side of the track, but there was contact with Great Britain and New Zealand as well.
Yeah, a lot of correction there from Jarvis as he had to gather it together. Could be a question of a puncture on the British car.
And New Zealand is on the track just ahead of the race leader, Canada.
Oh, that's going to not be popular for Rod Wickens. Great Britain really hit the curve hard there. Oliver Jarvis gathered it together, and Brazil still managing to stay in front of China.
Well, that nose cone is, and the wing and the mountings of the wing are really moving around. They'll have to be very careful that if that does detach, it will cause big moments for Brazil.
Watch France, he managed to get past Pakistan last lap around. Loic Duval trying to get into the points as he told us on the grid. Can he try and move up a little further and get past USA?
Jonathan Somerton's going to be a bigger problem as Brazil are waiting for Bruno Junqueira if he chooses to come in. The brand new nose is ready.
Well, everybody trying to make up places with only 13 laps to go. Is Jonathan Somerton for Team USA now under pressure from Loic Duval of Team France. China, meanwhile, will want to try and keep the pressure on Brazil. Brazil staying out there for the moment, which is probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, the wing is actually getting worse. You can see it drooping down more on the left-hand side as each lap goes by. We've got 12 laps to go. There you see the wing now almost touching the ground. That means I think he's going to come in. He's got to come in at the end.
Oh, behind Germany making a move on Netherlands, sliding and almost, I don't know if they actually touched. They may have done.
I think there was a touch because you saw the Netherlands car just having to put on lock. But Michael Ammermuller, doesn't appear to be any damage to the nose. It might have been a wheel to wheel rather than the bodywork to the wheel.
Well, it's tight between those two. Jeroen Bleekemolen versus Michael Ammermuller. A bit of more debris. There's bits and pieces of car all over the place here at the moment, but that's no great surprise. It's still Canada leading, from Great Britain in second, Switzerland third, then Brazil still fending off China, then behind them the Netherlands and Germany, with Australia's John Martin, who's poorly, remember. He's running well in the background there in 8th place. Portugal, Philippe Albuquerque, on his debut in A1GP, also running competitively, and Mexico's in the top 10 as well. David Garza had a good first lap.
So Michael Ammermuller had that attempt down the inside into turn 1, the Vodacom corner, but couldn't get it, couldn't make it stick. So the rest of the field really filing through very much, and France, as I anticipated, getting logjam now behind USA, who've got their sights set on Malaysia, who have also got their sights set on Mexico. Ireland further back, Ireland running in 16th place. They've made up ground, but in reality, Ireland, like everybody else, not enough time or space to make any real moves on the car ahead of you.
And right behind his host nation, South Africa, there is Adrian Zaugg, and he's currently running in 17th position. It's tough to move up from there, especially when he's racing against someone of Adam Carroll's abilities. For Team Ireland, France got very close to the back of the United States car there, had to sort of correct his line into the corner. South Africa still tucked in behind her. The bright green Irish car can't find a way through as yet, and it is tough. You've got to push for the mistake, push for the error. China is past Brazil. China has gained a place. They're into 4th position now, so that's a nose. That damage to the front wing has affected Bruno Junqueira.
I'm not surprised. When driving a car with the wing moving up and down like that, you're losing a lot of the front end grip. And also what you're concerned about is if that does break away, it's only being held by one of the 2 mounting points. If that breaks away there, you can see it's now going to get caught under the front wheel. He's got to get out of it. He's got to give himself the opportunity to get back to the pit safety, but also not compromise Netherlands and Germany.
Here comes Australia about to pass him as well. Hopefully he's going to maintain his line. Portugal going to try and nip up the inside too. Philippe Albuquerque goes through. Junqueira being sensible here. He's just got to try and get it back to the pits, as you say. He can't afford to get himself tangled up with too many other cars, although he won't want to lose too much time. He's moved to the inside, and Mexico and the others are able to pass.
Well, that was a moment which I anticipated, because when the wing loses one of those 2 mountings, it's inevitable it's going to lose the other one. And if that wing ever tucked under the car, that would have been a serious situation for Bruno Junqueira.
Wow, what a great shame after that front row starting position, and they really looked like they would be on for a podium finish. Now let's take a look at that front wing once again.
And this is where it's just about, you can see the smoke now coming off. That's the wing, the tail of the wing catching on the tire. And if that wing then was to go under the front of the car, he would have lose steering, lose braking, and he would just be a passenger.
So So they've got to get that changed quickly as possible. What it has allowed is everyone to move up one. China now are in 4th place. That's a great effort, considering they were 11th in qualifying, moved up to 10th with India being pushed to the back, but nonetheless an excellent effort. Now look, Switzerland pretty close to Great Britain. That's the race for 2nd position. Oliver Jarvis versus Neil Yarni. Yarni looking for the points here, most notably, but a great run out of turn 9, and that car's looking good for Team Switzerland.
And you sense there's a slight bit of defensiveness coming.
I think
and
that's the
alongside
problem.
was a content of something happened. Oliver Jarvis, he certainly lost pace through turn 10.
Yeah, and I wonder, you know, if it might be as a result of that contact he had with New Zealand right at the start. That car doesn't look quite right to me there. Looks better there. Maybe
there's some parts of the circuit, it was certainly very slow through turn 9 and into turn 10. There we see New Zealand, the cause of the problem, still running ahead of New Zealand, but not in the race. Jarvis going defensive.
Remember, it was his right rear that got hit, so he might be all right through right-handers. I wonder if the car's a bit of a handful. Let's watch him through this next corner. It might be a bit tricky through left-handers, possibly.
It was the 2 right-handers that were at the end of the straight where the car was slow, so it's affecting the car going right rather than going left.
Yeah, good point. Well, Neil Yarni's trying to make the most of it if he can, and I definitely think Jarvis is struggling with a car that is not responding the way he wants it to. Up front, it's Canada leading, although New Zealand have stayed ahead. They stayed just about on the lead lap.
It's going to be out of this corner, another right-hander onto the quickest part of the track. If he's got a problem in the right-hand corner, it may offer an advantage. But look, the gap once again is pulled away, so Jarvis is able to breathe a little bit more comfortably as they come down once again to turn 9.
Big pressure though this for Jarvis from Team Switzerland, and Neil Yarni desperate for points here. He wants to reclaim the lead in the points, and he can do that here in this race because New Zealand have had a pit stop. They might be running ahead on the road, but they're almost a lap down, and France are out of the points at the moment. Switzerland have a huge opportunity here to retake the lead in the title battle, a lead that they enjoyed before we went to the races in New Zealand and Australia, but he won't want to do anything stupid and lose any chance of scoring points. And on that last lap, actually, Jarvis has just been able to open up the advantage slightly.
Yeah, we don't know why. It just suddenly appeared that Team GBR lost pace 1 lap ago through turns 9 and 10. They've now recovered. Now let's look at Adrian Zaga. Team South Africa dives past Ireland. Well, tries to get alongside with Italy just ahead. Makes a good clean pass. Well done, Adrian Zaga. South Africa's proud of you. That's a good move. He had to actually, and in fact, Adam Carroll from Ireland gave him the space. He didn't make it too hard for Adrian Zaug.
No, well, that was sensible. Zaug had a good run going there, and he's gained 1 position. He's up to 15th, but he's still outside the points. Netherlands versus Germany, that continues for 5th position, with China still sitting up there in 4th place. There's Michael Ammermuller keeping the pressure on Jeroen Bleekemolen. There's been nothing between these 2 neighbouring countries. France we ride with now, and Team France still stuck behind the United States, has not been able to find a way past.
Well, again, Jonathan Somerton is very, very competitive. He may not have a quickest car in an overall lap, but he knows how to make his car difficult to overtake. And the momentum that France built up to get to the tail of the USA has all gone, and he now is running at the pace of the USA and really hasn't been able to do much about it.
Watch South Africa as well, because he's closed up to the back of the blue Italian car now. Relatively inexperienced Edoardo Piscopo driving for Team Italy, and Adrian Zaug may fancy his opportunity coming up in a lap or 2. Mike Carroll, team director there for Team South Africa. Well, he's watching this one very closely. They're desperate to move up the order if possible, and Zaug is giving his all here. He drives with his heart, and he's putting everything into this one. He's got past Team Ireland. Now, can he get past Team Italy? He's not close enough at the moment to mount a challenge. He's going to have to be a bit nearer than that.
All he can do is try to put his car into the mirrors of Team Italy and just simply intimidate the young Italian driver. Not this lap into turn 1 into Vodacom corner, but maybe 1 lap later. And this is the battle going on at the tail between Lebanon and the Czech Republic. In fact, it's for 18th and 19th place. It's Brazil and New Zealand 21st and 22nd.
Yeah, these 2 having a nice little dice. Khalil Bashir versus the new boy Joseph Kral, who's making his debut in A1GP, and Khalil will be determined to try and keep him behind, so that could be quite a fun one. Ahead of them, actually, Parthiva Suraswaran has managed to get ahead of those 2, so the stand-in driver for Team India, normally their rookie, had to take over at short notice for today when Lorraine Carter-Cairns' injuries from the accident he suffered in practice prevented him from racing. Well, he's a little further up the road for Team India. But there is our race leader. It is Rob Wickens. What a beautiful drive this is at the moment. And there's the race going on for 2nd.
Yeah, the gap was 4.9 seconds 1 lap ago. Comes across start finish line. It's got to be over 5 seconds, 5.3 seconds. The gap, so it's increasing bit by bit. Rob Wickens isn't going any quicker, it's just that those behind aren't maintaining the pace.
Interestingly, it's New Zealand that has the fastest lap. The car that had been into the pits got a new front wing and went back out just ahead of Canada, and it's Johnny Reid.
And that's 1 point.
That is 1 point, so at least, yeah, he gets something out of it, so that's very valuable when the championship battle is as close as it is, but it's not really going to stack up against the potential points of 10 that Swiss. Oh! Junqueira in the wall for Brazil!
On the exit of the Ericsson complex, and he slammed it into the wall. I suspect that was just being too aggressive on the curbs. Just caught the tail of that, so wave yellow flag. Safety car is, there we see, oh look, he just ripped the wing off, like, oh, and, well, just wipes out the right-hand side of the car. And just what a state the car is in.
6 laps to go, or 6 minutes, and its safety car is out.
So Clips, oh, that's why he just totally trashed the wing. We saw that happen in the first series of A1GP. That's the first time we've seen a driver do it. And the reason he did it was the way he attacked the curb. Other drivers have been using the curb aggressively. A safety car is deployed with 6 laps to go and 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining.
I wonder if that replacement nose cone was set up slightly differently with the wing end plates or something, because it caught much more than we've seen anybody else do.
You have to raise those wing end plates up probably to the highest you can do to avoid that, but clearly when Junqueira tried to take the curb, that was he probably had done on previous occasions, it caught it and just tore it away, and he had no control of the car whatsoever. He was sitting there as a passenger, he could even feel the impact before he got there.
Well, that was real drama then for Bruno Junqueira. Of course, he was at the back anyway, having made that pit stop earlier for a nose cone change. What a shame. It was looking so good when they qualified on the front row. We thought that Brazil were heading for a podium finish here, perhaps even potentially their first win in 54 races, but it's not to be. He's out of the race, and that's very, very disappointing for the whole team. Can I also just tell you that on that last lap, South Africa got past Italy. So South Africa up to 14th place now, so that's good news. But bad news for Brazil. Let's hear some reaction from Emerson Fittipaldi.
Emerson, a great qualifying, very disappointing. Firstly, is Bruno okay?
Yeah, Bruno's okay, but I'm very disappointed. You know, he had a good chance to do well. So it happened. See if we can get the car for the feature race.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you.
Well, here we go, looking back at it again from that, yeah, the front wing was already off the car.
Oh, literally, the minute he put the wheel against the curb, that wing was just torn away from the car, and he lost all control of the car. You can see how much damage he did. Look at it again. He turns into the corner, the end of the wing end plate catches it, tears the whole thing off. The car virtually is just a missile aimed at the concrete barrier on the outside of the Ericsson complex, and I mean nothing. Junqueira at that point, he couldn't even slow the car down.
Well, this race is likely to be a timed race now, with just under 4 minutes to go, or 5 laps, but I think the 4 minutes is going to come before the 5 laps are completed. We'll see how long the safety car is out there. They've got to recover that stricken machine before, of course, they can then release the field.
Well, they've got just 3.5 minutes to go, plus 1 lap. So if they can get that part of the racetrack cleared, we may have a dash for the cash, as they say, which means that Canada's advantage, which had been up to 5.5 seconds, is now under a second, and goes Switzerland right on the tail of Great Britain. So we could see a real grandstand finale should we get one last lap, and that would be timed plus 1 lap to see this race conclude.
Malaysia is the last car in the points at the moment, so Faraz Fawzi's managed to get up to 10th, USA 11th, France still stuck in 12th. South Africa, as I say, though, has got ahead of Italy, but Pakistan is still ahead of them, so this was the move.
Yeah, good, clean move, and again, Italy saw what was happening. Eduardo Pescopo kept the car way out to the left-hand side of the track, and that's good, intelligent driving from a young driver who hasn't got the experience of someone like Adrian Zaug, coming down the inside, committed, and he saw the car, he gave the car room. There's no point in just swinging across the front of the car. That would have taken both these cars out.
Yeah, it came from a long way back, but Zaug, the only man who's managing to really overtake anybody at the moment, as he's moved up to 14th position now. Good hard drive this. That car's being recovered. They've got the recovery equipment there on scene very quickly.
We're going to have a grandstand finish, I think, to this race. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, plus 1 lap.
Great stuff. This is what we want to see, a dash for the cash, if you like, towards the end of this race. Rob Wickens, who had a very comfortable lead, will now have to do it all over again, but he's looking supremely confident, and there's no doubt that Great Britain seem to be struggling there. Really, I think, going to be focused on defending that second place rather than going on the attack.
Well, I think very much the case. You've got the second place, 12 points, and you've got Switzerland breathing all over you. the pace of Rob Wickens, and he will be able to control in effect when this race gets underway with just under 2 minutes and 1 lap remaining. We're waiting for the safety car coming in. This lap is going to come into the pit lane now, so this race will be underway when the cars once again cross the start-finish line. Remember, they're not allowed to overtake until they've crossed the line, so that does give an advantage to Rob Wickens.
Here we go, race restart. Rob Wickens is controlling the pace. He slows it down again a little bit into this last corner. Away we go, and he's hard on the power through turn 15. Great Britain goes with him. Then it's Switzerland and China, followed by the Netherlands and Germany. Everybody a little spaced out as they head down towards the first turn. Little lock up from Canada, defending the inside. Germany trying to go around the outside, almost collected by Australia. And Portugal nips up the inside and gains one.
Much cleaner through turn 1, Vodacom corner, than we have seen at the start of this race some 20 minutes ago. Everybody now files through, single file through turn 2.
Good effort that by Philippe Albuquerque. Saw the move by Australia, gained the advantage. Portugal now up into 7th place. Australia lost one, they're down to 8th place, but it kept it pretty clean there. That's impressive stuff from everybody.
Yeah, Rob Wickens really slowed it down as they came into turn 15, then got on the throttle, and he backed the field up, essentially trying to get in position.
France has got past that lot, and
did.
USA has gone straight on.
Absolutely, so a big gain for France out of that, so we wait to see where France will feature when they come to the end of this lap with 1 lap to go.
I think he might still be 1 place outside the points, but he might not be, because these two are almost in each other. And Bleekemolen just kept out of the wall as Ammermuller for Germany is on the attack.
You've got to watch Michael Ammermuller when he's got the red mist, and he's got the red mist right now. We saw this in Malaysia, but before we've had the Christmas breaks, but the field bunched up behind the Netherlands coming through Suncoast Boulevard.
Through the long left-hander they come then, and still Ron Bleekemolen keeps Ammermuller behind, having a little look up, and they hit each other! Both out! Both out! And that puts more cars up in the top 10.
Did I talk about red mist from Germany? You saw it on screen live.
The Hammermuller has done it again. He's hammered into the Netherlands car, and here comes the Malaysia car now trying to gain a position, but it's a red flag, John. The red flag's been called.
And the positions for this race will be judged on the previous lap, not where they finished this lap.
That could mean that both Germany and the Netherlands will be classified depending on the rule. It may be that as they're not running when the red flag came out, they may get dropped out of the order, and that would bring Portugal up to 5th. But what it means is that Canada have taken victory.
Absolutely fantastic, superb for Canada, and absolutely delighted here on the pit lane. Team GBR, they've got that 2nd place, Switzerland in 3rd.
Fantastic. Canada take their first ever sprint race win. They've won a feature race in the past thanks to Sean McIntosh, but they've never won a sprint race, and it's Rob Wickens after taking pole position who's managed to achieve it, and that is an absolutely brilliant effort. This was the moment though where Germany hit the Netherlands.
Well, we saw Michael Ammermuller have the red mist in Malaysia. He was trying everything he could. There was a lot of defence from the Netherlands, and the Netherlands were fully entitled to do that, but Michael Ammermuller just could not contain himself, tags the back of the Netherlands car. Germany straight into the wall. Netherlands spins around but was unable to recover, and the red flag immediately is thrown, and this race is over.
Well, that means that Canada has won here in the sprint race, and Rob Wickens takes his own personal first ever win in A1GP. It's the nation's 2nd ever victory, but their first in a sprint race, and how dominant was that performance. Brilliant stuff by him. But what about that accident at the end? Let's hear from Bleekemolen with Simon.
You're obviously very upset about that. What was your version?
Well, it's just incredible. This guy has been pushing off people every race. He's been punished already before, and last race in Australia he just pushed me on the grass. This time, you know, we're racing street circuits. You brake on the actual maximum, and then he just knocks you in the rear and you go off. And he hit me 3 times, and the last time was just too bad. You know, it was too hard, and then I went off. But I think, you know, we have to look at this, because this guy is just impossible to drive with. You can't race in a fairway with him. I mean, there are 20 drivers that can race in a fairway, and he can't. But so we really have to look at it.
A little bit of discord there, obviously, between Netherlands and Germany, but no discord down in Parc Fermé as Rob Wickens gets the congratulations of his team. And this is the first win for Status GP, this team that has been brought together for this season for Team Canada, also put together the Irish team effort. And what a brilliant performance it is by the 18-year-old from Toronto. He's not even completed the whole season of A1GP, but here he is taking his first victory. Onto the top step of the podium he goes then. He's joined up there by Oliver Jarvis, a superb 2nd place. Did look as though he had to fight Neil Yarni off for a while, but Switzerland with 3rd position have now taken the lead in the points chase, and that is what is going to matter to Team Switzerland at this stage. The medals being handed out Neil Yarni picking up 10 points there for that result, that third place. And of course he'll be on pole position for the feature race later on this afternoon. And it's given Switzerland a 6-point lead in the points. There's Oliver Jarvis, a very useful silver medal. He started 4th on the grid, managed to survive those first corner incidents. But the gold medal goes to Rob Wickens, a star of the future surely, on the basis of the performance, not only today, but what we've seen recently. A special moment for Rob Wickens, hearing the anthem for the first time in A1GP. The top 3 are on the podium. Let's now hear from them with Lee Mackenzie.
Robbie Wickens, what's it like to get your first A1GP victory?
No, it's an honor considering where Canada's grown from the start of the season till now. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't thank the team enough. They gave me a great car, and I was able to get a pretty good gap and just maintain it for them from there.
In second position was Team Great Britain and Oliver Jarvis. What a start you made. You went from 4th to 2nd, but there was contact with New Zealand. How damaged was your car out there?
Well, I knew there was contact. It was quite heavy contact. What he was up to, I'm not sure. I think he made contact first with Robbie Wickens, and I thought I might have got the lead around the outside, to be honest, but then I had to back off, and there's certainly a lot of damage, and the car was a handful throughout the race.
Oliver, thank you very much. And in 3rd position, but more importantly, taking the lead back of the A1GP Championship, Neil Yarni. Neil, what's it all about? Is it about wins, podiums, or the championship at the end of today?
Well, I started 5th, so I knew it will be already tight, and at the first corner it was tight, and I could take 3rd. Then I was quicker than Jarvis, but I was making so many little mistakes, so I thought, well, I better keep my gap, see what he does, otherwise he gets too nervous. And so that China just doesn't catch me, and I just went for the points because I knew the other 2 are out of points. So get that championship lead back now.
The result of the sprint race: Canada take victory ahead of Great Britain, and Switzerland's 3rd place. Neil Yarni now takes a 6-point lead for the team over New Zealand and France. Behind them, China, a superb 4th position, then the Netherlands and Germany after their incident, Australia in there as well, and then behind them Mexico and Malaysia still in the points. Behind the point sitters we had USA and France, then Pakistan and South Africa, Italy, Ireland and Indonesia, and then India in 18th place ahead of the Czech Republic and Lebanon, and of course New Zealand at the back, but they did get the compensation of 1 single point for fastest lap.
Welcome back to A1GP race day action from Durban, South Africa. Confirmation of the sprint race result from here. Robert Wickens securing that race victory for Canada. GBR's Ollie Jarvis moving up 2 places to take 2nd. 3rd, Switzerland's Neil Yarni, that placing putting him top of the points table. We'll get to that in a minute, but Germany were sick. They have been moved down, excluded from that sprint race result for that altercation at the end of that sprint race with the Netherlands. The official line that Michael Ammermuth judged to have caused an avoidable collision and hasn't been classified in the final result. As for the points table, after round 6 of the series and after the sprint race, it looks like this. Switzerland returning to the top. The last time they occupied that position was December. New Zealand moved down 1 to 2nd. They're now 6 points off the pace. France 7 off the leaders. And Great Britain in particular closing the gap. That's certainly something to watch out for. Now, let's just take you through that hectic sprint race with John Surtees, who was watching on patiently in the studio. A disastrous opening lap for Team New Zealand, John.
Yes, I think actually that Johnny Reid was a little bit too aggressive. In the position where he stands in the championship, I do think that he needed to sort of try and keep it a little more together. How he sort of went out there, he was obviously on a collision course. And so that, I think, was an error on his part. I think it was very fortunate that it didn't involve and take out Oliver.
Well, no, exactly. Ollie did well to come through that first corner, didn't he, unscathed. What about a little later on in the race, though, where GBR and Switzerland enjoyed a pretty vicious battle for 2nd place? How difficult did Ollie find keeping off the challenge of Neil Yarni here?
Well, I think Neil Yarni was in fact a little quicker. Whether it was because of any damage or anything else, I don't know. We'll see in the main race. The question is that on a circuit like this with very limited passing spots, if you keep it all together, which is Oliver is very capable of doing, and just put it in the right place on the road at the right time, you won't get by. And so that's what happened.
The race restarted after a red flag situation. Michael Ammermuller decided to pick a fight after that with Jeroen Bleek-Molen. What did you make of this encounter?
Frustration. He's a young driver. He's sitting there thinking, here we are. It wasn't being made easy for him because, Holland was using all the road and a little more to make certain there wasn't any space to get by. So I think it's purely a question that the situation got the better of him.
Thanks, John. His 4th driving penalty this season for Ammermuller. Head of the main event of the day, the feature race in Durban, though. Let's get over to Lee McKenzie, who's trackside once more.
Thank you very much, Georgie. Hello and welcome to Durban. I promise you I'm not on my holidays. I'm standing at the back of the paddock here on the South African street race. But what a view we have, and what a race that we've just seen too. A lot of the drivers feeling the heat, feeling the effects. Ollie Jarvis is having a bit of a rest at the moment, so we brought out Great Britain's Robbie Kerr, who's not on holiday but almost on holiday. You've been here before the past 2 years. You've driven these streets. Just how tough a circuit is this?
No, it's a really tough circuit, really bumpy, and it's hard work in the heat. But it's really great to drive. It's really challenging as well because 100% focus the whole way through. And if your focus slightly slips, well, you pay the penalty.
How frustrating is it for you to be here and watching almost?
It's really frustrating. Of course, you want to be out in the car, but no, we're helping with the team and keeping team spirits up. And Ollie did a great job in the first race, and let's hope we can have a repeat of it in the second.
Now, sadly, in A1 there seems to be an awful lot of people ill. There's been a bit of a bug going around. I know you've been offered several jobs. One was driving for Australia, driving for another country. The other one is helping out in pit stop practice. Are you going to have a relaxing afternoon?
I don't think I'm going to have a relaxing afternoon at all. You've got to wait and see what happens with each thing. But Australia not feeling too well. I think John was on a strip all evening in hospital, and so hopefully he'll be well enough to drive.
OK, well, Robbie, thanks very much. I'm sure your holiday will be stopping very shortly. It's been a fantastic day of racing so far. There'll be plenty more thrills and spills in this afternoon's feature race. Don't go away.
It's not all hard work on the A1GP circuit, is it? In a moment, your chance to win prizes in our Team GBR competition, which we're running this season. First, though, congratulations to Martin Thompson from Stony Stanton in Leicestershire, who's the winner from the Sydney weekend. If you'd like to join him and win this selection of Team GBR goodies, including signed T-shirts, programmes, caps and photos, all you have to do is listen carefully to Team GBR's Ollie Jarvis, who has this week's question.
Durban is built by which ocean? Is it A, Indian, B, Pacific, or C, the Atlantic?
So then, just to confirm this week's question, Durban is built beside which ocean? Is it A, the Indian, B, Pacific, or C, Atlantic? To enter, just send us an email at a1gp@skysports.com or go online at skysports.com/A1GP. Please include your postal address and a contact phone number. We'll announce the winner in our next show from Mexico in 3 weeks' time, but the correct answer and the winner's name will appear on the website a little later on. As I mentioned, all winners throughout the season will automatically be entered into a draw to win a fantastic weekend's hospitality as guests of A1 Team GBR at Brands Hatch in May. Clock is ticking on this series. After today, we're just 2 race weekends away from the season finale at Brands Hatch. With the way the championship is going, this year's title could go right down to the wire, and it's always a very special weekend at the home of British motorsport.
Welcome to motorsport, we get underway. Oh, this is going to be a close battle. It's Brazil. Brazil wins. What a manoeuvre! Oh no! Oh no! Would you believe it? He times it perfectly. What a drive! Robbie Kerr, he wins at Brands Hatch. Oh, this is real racing between 2 quality drivers here. What a show they're putting on for the fans here at Brands.
Well, if you're not lucky enough to win our competition but would like to be part of what promises to be a brilliant weekend at Brands Hatch, there's more information on the website a1gp.com. OK, could what happens in the feature race here, though, have a big say in the outcome of the title race? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it is the feature race. It's live and it's uninterrupted and it's from Durban. Welcome back to Durban, South Africa. The feature race is imminent. Just some news to bring you up to date with. GBR have changed their alternator and battery ahead of this one, taking you through a live, uninterrupted race action. And yes, happy birthday, Rachel. Our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards.
For Switzerland was regaining the lead in the championship, and those 10 points for third place were very welcome indeed.
Philippe Albuquerque, very impressive debut from him. He's driving for Team Portugal, and a lot of us have been impressed with what he's done so far. Let's see what he can do for Team Portugal. He'll be starting in 9th place on the grid. So let's, before we get into the race itself, look at the lineup in a little more detail. All 22 nations that will be starting this race, and despite the accidents that occurred earlier, I'm glad to say that either with the use of spare car or with lots of spare parts, the cars are all ready to go. That means we've got Switzerland on pole position. Team Canada winner earlier today alongside. Then New Zealand and Great Britain on the second row. Both Johnny Reid and Oliver Jarvis capable of winning races. Brazil and the Netherlands are next up on the third row of the grid. Row 4 is Germany and France. Watch out for Loic Duval. Can he make progress? Portugal and Australia. John Martin feeling very poorly. China and Malaysia next up, followed by Ireland and Pakistan. Good qualifying from Adam Khan. South Africa and USA, Italy and Mexico. Then the Czech Republic and Lebanon come up. And at the back, we've got Indonesia and India. That's how the 22 nations line up for the feature race. Now remember, we're going to be seeing a standing start for this one, of course, unlike the rolling start earlier on. But it's time for the build-up to begin.
And now, please, let's stand for the national anthem of South Africa, sung by Tender Mavula. Hats off, please.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyisa uphondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo morena Chama sa Yesu ufedisa diswani masenge usibuluge sibuluge sichabasa Yesu sichabasa South Africa South Africa Fan on semel et dit de fan on sem or on se gebek des van de kranse antwoord ge sounds a call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engines.
And the noise begins and crashes around beneath the skyscrapers here in Durban. as we build up now to what is going to be a tough afternoon's work, not just for the drivers, the mechanics as well. Spare them a thought. They've got all their full kit on, ready for 2 pit stops in this race, 2 crucial pit stops, John, which could well determine the outcome.
Oh, I think there'll be a big part of this race determined with pit stops. The good news for the engineers, the teams, is that they can stand out of the sunlight in the garage until the car does come to a stop in their respective boxes, and they don't have to stand literally in the sun for goodness knows 70 minutes or more.
No, it is a tight pit lane though, and if they all decide to come in together, it could be quite hard work to find some space. Ready for the formation lap to get underway here, and in just a few seconds they'll blast off the line and get their final chance at a practice start and an idea of how the track is going to feel. Good getaway by Neil Yarni, very smooth and fast getaway, as we heard from him earlier on. He's concerned that he wants to get off the line quickly. He'll want the line into the first corner, but remember also, Team Canada is not a player in terms of the championship. Rob Wickens is out there for race wins.
For me, the car to watch off the line will be Team GBR. We saw a great start, a great rolling start from Oliver Jarvis, and also Oliver Jarvis, I think, is very good under the brakes into this first turn.
Championship positions at the moment: Switzerland 6 points ahead of New Zealand, France now in 3rd place, South Africa in 4th. Now that Germany were out of the picture after that first race, they've dropped behind South Africa again. Canada up to 8th place on 52 points, so that's been a good move up the order already for Team Canada, and they may well be able to add to that. They were 10th coming into this. Other people to score, well, Portugal, they managed to score some points, so up to 9 points on Philippe Albuquerque's debut, and Malaysia have managed to double their point score up to 4 thanks to Faraz Fawzi's attempts earlier on.
So the field makes its way carefully out through the exit of the Ericsson complex. That was the curve that caught the Brazil car, the front wing, the wing end plate. You can adjust those wing plates up and down. I don't know whether Brazil, when they replaced the nose of that Brazil car, whether they had those wing end plates in the up position or not, but we've not seen one car do what Bruno Junqueira did, and he was, once that nose had just been trashed, he was a passenger in a missile.
Interesting, Johnny Reid not doing too. He just started weaving about then. He was keeping it relatively straight until that point. But now we've got to see everybody just warming their tyres up, gradually picking up a bit of speed just to get some tyre temperature.
Yes, you've just got to also get the surface of the tyre as clean as possible. Coming now the second half of the lap. The second half is the easier part, but the pace of this lap being controlled by Neil Yarni, keeping the pack as close as he can. He wants to do that, because if he waits too long on the grid, his car is going to be the first car to come to a standstill, and he's going to have to wait a long time. So the field's still filtering its way through turn 9, making its way down to turn 10. So Neil Yarni, when he comes out of that long Suncoast Boulevard corner, he's got to get this pack really as closed up as is possible. There we are, just coming midway through that. Canada directly behind the Swiss car.
A 3rd place finish for Switzerland in that sprint race. That won them some $50,000. So they're becoming very close to becoming the top money earners in A1GP. Yarni is, in terms of the drivers who've done it. Hulkenberg won over $2 million for Team Germany last season, but Neil Yarni almost on that mark now, courtesy of that result earlier on today. Can he win the $200,000 prize that's on offer for the feature race win? Well, he's certainly best placed to do it from pole position.
Yes, he has got the best opportunity. The question mark will obviously remain on whether he will have the stamina over the duration. 69 minutes plus 1 lap, or 48 laps, whichever comes the sooner. And it would be a brave man that would forecast which of those two will be the outcome.
So everybody starting to take their positions. Looking out of our commentary box window, we've got a view of the front row of the grid. That's Switzerland and Canada. New Zealand tucked in there in 3rd. Jarvis is just moving up into his slot. I'm looking out the window, just seeing that, whereas you're watching the back end of the grid there. Parthiva Sureshwaran bringing up the rear for Team India. Let's wish Narain Karthikeyan well. Let's hope his wrist injury is repaired in time for the next round of the series in Mexico in 3 weeks. But it's Durban feature race coming up right now. All aiming to win the 15 points, the $200,000 on offer for victory here today, and to continue that championship battle all the way to the end. Watch for the lights up at the top of the screen. Red lights are on, lights go out, away we go, and it's Yarni with a fantastic start, and New Zealand goes second.
It's a great sprint as the car to watch, blocked by New Zealand coming down into turn 1. Jarvis backside of it, so it is Switzerland getting the advantage.
Look behind, this is where the trouble will occur. Germany gets down on the inside, here's the blockage, and South Africa's in the middle of it. Adrian Zaug again, he's in the middle of the drama.
They've got 8-9 cars. China's blocking, and the whole field has now come to a standstill in turn 1.
Safety car's been called for, and it happened to Adrian Zaug last year. It's happened again, he's in the midfield, and he's been blocked out.
Rob Wickens, the big loser there, going from second on the grid down to 5th place.
Yeah, a terrible start for the earlier winner. Marshall's doing a fabulous job trying to get that cleared. They've done it. Well done, boys, down there at Vodacom Hairpin. Although
the nose on China's car is damaged. There's bodywork on the racetrack as well. So a lot of these cars will make their way back into the pits once they get rolling. But what a mess in turn 1 down at Vodacom Corner. We know it's always a problem, but this is the biggest problem we've seen in the 3 years we've been here in Durban.
India only just getting going. USA has stalled. Mexico is stopped, and Lebanon. Khalil Bashir still waiting to get going as well.
Well, so we're going to have a rolling start to this feature race. We've had the standing start. We will have a rolling start once this melee down in Vodacom Corner has been cleared. Let's look at it again from the moment the lights go out.
So it's a poor start by Canada. Great getaway by Switzerland, but you want to look further back because actually the first group made it through.
Indeed they did. There was moving all around. You can see just Rob Wickens went all the way back, but 3 cars side by side trying to get around. It isn't going to happen. Germany and Netherlands side by side, but it was China got tagged from behind.
Oh,
and there
somebody climbed up the wall.
They did climb up the wall, but you can see what 8-9 cars
had nowhere to go, did they? So let's have a look from on board further back. The big traffic jam. China was part of it. Look, trying to go on the outside. Bosch.
And Pakistan on board.
Yeah, Portugal it was that went up in the air.
Portugal bumped up in the air over the. So that from China backwards, it was just standstill at turn 1.
Well, it always happens. It's so difficult. There's no way you can go around there 3 abreast. They were trying it, but just no way. So Switzerland made a great start, but so did New Zealand. And of course, those two are big battlers in terms of the championship. China had a fabulous 4th place earlier, but that's not going to happen this time. So nose cone being checked. Oh, they haven't quite got that.
The motor is not fully released, so then South Africa now in as well. So it's been a disastrous weekend so far for South Africa in the sprint race and now in the feature race.
Oh, what a great shame for Adrian Zaug. For the 2nd year, he's been caught out by another person's incident down at that first corner, the Vodacom hairpin. They've got the nose cone on, they send him on his way, but a real disaster for the host nation. Let's just hope he can come back from there somehow.
Well, do not forget what happened here in the first race in Durban. Anything is possible. We've only had 1 lap. We're now on lap 2, and we're under safety car. So while it might seem everything is lost, do not give up hope as Team USA. And Jonathan Somerton, because he also got trapped in that incident down at turn 1.
2 pit stops will have to be made during the race for tyre changes. This won't count as one of their compulsory stops, of course. Away goes Khalil Bashir. Very disappointing. He's got a long afternoon ahead of him now. And Team USA, Jonathan Somerton, same story as he gets underway. Well, Team Switzerland certainly managed to keep themselves clear of all that drama. New Zealand and Great Britain, but Brazil managed to get ahead of Great Britain, which is interesting.
I don't know, we didn't quite see it. We probably did see, but didn't pick it up. But Quera somehow or other managed to get around Great Britain, who had already gotten around Canada. So in that, seeing the melee take place somewhere or other, Brazil got ahead of Great Britain in the car that Bruno Junqueira has not driven. This is a spare car he's in with all the Brazil identification on that car.
That's Mexico. David Garzu's just going to lose a lap. Now I think all the others have managed to stay on the lead lap because the safety car's out there, but unfortunately for Garza of Mexico, he's down a lap.
Yes, he's going to be held at the pit lane exit to let the entire field go by, so he will go 1 lap down and he will then join on to the tail of this field. There we see Bruno Junqueira in the spare car just ahead of Team GBR.
Yeah, behind them we've got Canada, Netherlands, Germany, France, Australia running 9th, Ireland 10th. That's good for Ireland. Then Malaysia 11th, Portugal 12th, then Italy. And then these guys who've been in for their nose cone changes, but they're all on the lead lap because the safety car came out. They are all still on the lead lap. So it's only Mexico that really lost out on those that earlier incident because they were one of the last to be pushed back into action. So very disappointing for Mexico. Of course, it's Mexico's home race coming up after this, and it doesn't look like they're going to go there quite like Adrian Zaug did on this occasion with a great result in their pocket.
No, I think that's going to be a very tall hill to have to climb for Mexico, and I think the disappointment having not been able to get in and out in time to avoid having that 1 lap penalty. So Safety car makes its way down the straight, probably up to about 120, 140 kilometers per hour. Everybody keeping the tires warm, getting a little bit of a chance to catch their breath and get over the nerves. Everybody expects the first turn to be problematic. This time exceeded expectations. But the first 6-7 cars got through cleanly. It was really down where China was, and from there back it all went pear-shaped.
So safety car coming in at the end of the lap will be racing once again. Let's hope they all manage to make it through turn 1 a little bit more cleanly this time. It just was too much bunching going on. It's Neil Yarney who will set the pace for them ahead of Johnny Reid. 6 points separate Switzerland and New Zealand. And New Zealand, after the disaster of the first race of the day, have a chance of reclaiming some of that lost ground. So Neil will be nervous to see the Black Beauty behind him, I'm sure. There's a long, long way to go here before we get to the end of this race.
And he's on it already as the cars come down to turn 15. So it's not allowed to overtake until you cross the start-finish line. And the advantage goes to Switzerland, and the field strings its way down into Vodacom corner.
Here comes Ireland on the attack of Team Australia. He's going to try and go alongside. France also getting involved in that incident. Australia bumped the curve.
Germany's been spun round.
Yeah, and France trying to
Ireland
pick his way through. Australia out as well, well not out, but into the jam, and South Africa gets blocked again.
Cannot believe it. You know, I mean,
such a shame.
What is going on? Are these guys, are they not using their brains?
There's such a long race in front of them, and yet they can't resist getting involved in all this at the moment.
It is, I mean, this is just, I mean, I have to say, I understand in the first start, standing start, but you know it's going to be busy. John Martin on the inside tags Germany, catches the back of that, is that France? Then Ireland hits the back of that into the barriers. Australia's trapped, and then it just South Africa and everybody. Why do they not just use their brains?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was Australia that made the contact with Germany initially, but then everybody else sort of piling in here. Malaysia got through on the inside, Portugal did as well, and then it's difficult. I'm not sure whether Mexico was the one that ended up getting caught up in that again, but well, there's Alan Jones's reaction as he sees the Australian car in trouble, and now they're just hoping that they're going to get that car out of the way. We've got a safety car again. Well, disappointing start to this race, no doubt about that.
Well, while we're waiting for the safety car to pick up the line of cars, we've got 45 laps remaining, but more significantly, we've got an hour and a minute and a half of this race remaining.
All the hard work of the weekend, and it's being undone in a series of incidents down at that Vodacom hairpin. We all know it's difficult to get round there, but we just would have loved to have seen a bit of a clear restart on that occasion. There are cars being picked up. German team down there, it doesn't look as though there's an awful lot they can do for him at the moment. They're just waiting to see whether they can get that car cleared out of the way.
Well, the car will be cleared, but it will be cleared behind the barriers. That car, or those cars, are not going to take in any further part in this event here this afternoon. So again, Switzerland comes across.
There's been a few major changes as a result of incidents. Look, Italy up 7 places from their original starting position. Malaysia up 5 places. Czech Republic, new driver Joseph Kral's up big time as well. But look how many reds there are on that graphic showing.
Germany, the big loser in that.
Yeah.
And let's get on board with South Africa and let's see what happens.
It's just going past the scene at the moment.
This is the live picture.
Still several cars to be gathered up there. They still haven't managed to get the German car moved, and that's got a wheel in the air. I don't know if it's still mounted on the other one or not. We're going to take a look at the original start here first of all, and that was a slow getaway by Team Canada, and then it was the bunching that went on behind. Look, they're all trying to get 4 abreast almost.
Yes, and that was a very good start by Brazil, going around the outside of Team GBR and gets the pass, but then it all went pear-shaped and up in the air, and just simply log jam. And that literally was what it is, as a log jam down at Vodacom corner, and the whole lot comes to a standstill. And well, I think I've said enough on the subject, otherwise I'm going to get rude about some of these pens.
Well, this was South Africa, had nowhere to go, did he? Adrian Zaub stuck on the outside. Outside lane was not the place to be, unfortunately. He bumped into the back of the Pakistan car. That's what did his nose cone. Italy got stuck on the outside, although Italy actually have recovered more quickly because they're now running reasonably well. Ironically, they're now up into 10th place. I don't quite know how Piscopo managed to get out of that. It did look as though South Africa, it might have got a push actually into Pakistan by USA. So I'm not sure it was Adrian Zaub's fault that he ran into the back of Pakistan. He may well have had a shove from behind.
I think you've got to look at it in an analysis and just slow it all down. There was so much taking place, and you're looking at one group of cars, and there's another group, literally, I mean, like lemmings just sort of jumping off the cliff.
So there's still cars to be picked up down there. Australia's in. John Martin has been feeling pretty poorly. He's probably feeling even worse now. damage to the front end of the car, to the suspension as well. Steering arm is bent, and I wonder if they might send him back out again. There's a good chance here, because you might as well get back out there.
Well, you know, what, 8 cars finished here last year? So you put your car in the garage, you repair the car, and you go back out again. Obviously, you're not going to win the race, but you never know. You could finish in the top 10. There may not even be 10 finishers. If you can do that, then that makes all that effort very worthwhile. Yeah, well, Pakistan, Nur Ali got the final point last year in 10th place, but he was some 4 laps off the winner. So, you know, if you lose a lap or 2 in the pits, it's still worth getting out there. You may still manage to score a point. So, not a great start for Australia in this one. Let's get down to the pits and some reactions from Alan Jones with Simon.
Alan, after a very encouraging sprint race, your face says it all pretty much.
Well, unfortunately, it's a very narrow street circuit, and turn 1 has always had problems, and every year we've been here, there's always been shunts on turn 1 in the first couple of laps, and, you know, it just goes with the territory. But he got caught out. He did a very good start, but we'll have him back out in a minute, and we'll be right.
Now, John Watson was making disparaging comments about these young kids. You know, you're of the same era as Watty. What do you think?
Well, he couldn't do it anymore, and neither could I, so I'm not going to start making comments about things I can't do.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there we go, John. What have you got to say about that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would like to think neither of us would have been as dumb as some of the drivers we've seen here.
That was a big lunge from John Martin.
That was a big lunge, and that was it was never going to get past, and there was going to be a closing gap. So that was just a simple mistake from John Martin, and this is the restart after the first safety car intervention. So that was just an error on the part of John Martin, and he's gone back into the pits. But of course, it set off this chain reaction. Yeah, you see the green and yellow car dive down the inside, tags the right rear of Germany, spins Germany round. He's facing the traffic coming towards him. France. They couldn't quite see whether France got through. He got through. Actually, that was remarkable that Loic Duval managed to find a way of getting through. Oh, look at the damage to the front of the Indonesian car, trying to get away now. Also, the car's got damage to the rear suspension. So he's making his way back very, very gently indeed, as we see John. Is that John Martin? It is. He's on his way. Yeah. Well, there can't have been too much damage to that car. No. He's only probably lost a little over a lap, if even that. No, so there could be still points for Australia and for Jackaroo at this rate, with so many in trouble here in the early stages. Long way to go. Now, joining us on our crew on the TV side of things this weekend is rookie driver for Team Switzerland, Marcel Fassler. Let's hear from Marcel. Marcel, what do you reckon on what's been going on so far?
Yeah, it's really quite difficult, I think, for all the pilots from the starts. The first corner is quite difficult, it's quite tight, and as you have seen in the TV, the cars just hit a little bit the other one and then all stuck inside. I think it's very difficult to manage it for the drivers. It looks easier than it really is, but yeah, it's unfortunately we lose a lot of cars, and for the crowds it's also not so good at the moment. No, that's right, you're right. Thanks very much for your comments. And there's Team Ireland. He's actually getting out the car. That's interesting. They're going to change the nose cone, but Adam, maybe the belts were undone, so he's got to try and reorganise them. Yes, he probably got out of the car down at turn 1. He drove back to the pits. They've now got to reconnect the belts at the same time. They've got to replace the nose, and goodness knows how many nose cones have been replaced. Certainly a huge number have been shredded, and we've still got 42 laps to go, or 55 minutes, whichever's going to come the sooner, and I can guarantee you now it will be 55 minutes. Yeah, there's no way this race is going to go to full distance, is there? Well, up front, there's no problems for Switzerland and New Zealand. Brazil and Great Britain, those four managed to get through relatively untroubled at the start of both the original start and the restart. Canada's still in there as well. Now, look, we've got an unpainted nose cone. That's how many nose cones we've been getting through this weekend. So we've got an unpainted nose cone on the front of the Ireland car. Netherlands will be very relieved, no doubt, not to have Germany behind them after the fun and games they had in the sprint race. Netherlands now have Malaysia following them in 7th, France in 8th, Portugal 9th, Italy in the points potentially in 10th, Czech Republic in 11th. That's the young Josef Kral having a real baptism of fire this weekend. Indeed, and I think all the Czech Republic, Josef Kral, have got to do is just drive a nice, easy Sunday afternoon drive. Don't try and be a race driver, just bring the car home, and if you can maintain your 10th, 11th position, it could morph itself into 10th or even better. Yeah, and let's not forget that behind him as well is Parthiva Sureshwaran, the rookie driver, replacement driver for Narain Karthikeyan for Team India. South Africa are now being shown as 13th.
So after all of the dramas there, actually Adrian Zaug has effectively gained it was about 2 or 3 places from his original starting position, because he's now in 13th place, even though he's been in the pits once.
Ireland are back out with that new nose in the car, so Adam Carroll often, when adversity strikes, he is at his best. So safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap, and Adam Carroll will be going flat out to try to catch up to the tail of this train of cars. He will be just about probably coming onto the straight as they're all filtering off the straight, and it's doubtful he'll even catch up to the tail of the crocodile of cars as they come across the start-finish line. And this race, once again, for the 3rd time, gets underway.
Around the Suncoast Boulevard they come then, and the safety car is heading in. We're going to see the green flag when they come past the start-finish line next time. It's Switzerland versus New Zealand. Brazil, watch out for Brazil. Junqueira in there again in the mix, determined to make up for the disappointment of earlier on. Then it's Great Britain's Ollie Jarvis. Let's see what happens. Neil Yarni gets on the pace once again as we go racing again in Durban. Another restart, and look at a great restart from Neil Yarni of Switzerland. Johnny Reid will come under attack from Team Brazil, heading down into Vodacom corner. Great Britain under attack also. Ollie Jarvis defending from Team Canada's Rob Wickens. So far so good. Malaysia on the outside of Portugal, I think that was. And I think possibly this time they've all made it round.
Miracle of miracles they have. It was France was the beneficiary. They got past Malaysia along with Portugal. So 2 places gained for France. Should see, well, 1 place for France up to 7 and Portugal up to 8.
So we've got them through Vodacom, now we're into Ericsson, and now we've got some proper racing on our hands with the Czech Republic chasing Italy, but Switzerland trying to ease away from New Zealand. Remember, Bruno Junqueira running in 3rd is getting used to a car that he's not driven before, the spare car that they've had to use as a result of the accident he suffered earlier on, and he's staying ahead of Great Britain, but only just. That's a very tight battle in there, and Brazil ahead of Great Britain and Canada.
France having a look down the inside, but had to back out of it going into turn 9, trying to make up ground as quickly as possible, and the pit stop window is now open.
Yeah, we've already done 8 laps. It's all been behind safety car, but that means the pit window is open, and I would think that the leaders will come in as early as possible, but those further down, they'll take a gamble, and they might go.
They are indeed first 2 in the pit lane. New Zealand 2nd, Switzerland 1st.
That's good tactics from their point of view. They had to do that. Track position is crucial. Now, has Great Britain come in? Yes, it has. Great Britain's come in. That's interesting. So Switzerland, New Zealand, Great Britain and Netherlands all coming in early here. Malaysia as well. Because of the risk of safety car on a street circuit, this is the sort of safe choice to go for the early stop. The gamble is to go for a later stop.
Well, the gamble is, I think, the wrong gamble. I think what we're seeing here the leaders do is get in, get on, Neil, get it out, moving. So he gets a good stop from Team GBR.
What's happened to New Zealand? New Zealand have lost a lot of time. Oh, it's all gone wrong again.
The nose. There's something being done to the nose of the car. They're changing the nose in the car.
Oh, it's broken.
It's damaged. Where did that happen?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any damage to the front of the Kiwi car, the Black Beauty, but obviously in trouble. He's got his new tyres on. They've done the tyre change. Waiting, oh, it seems forever, doesn't it? Get it done, on his way. Oh dear, it's a disaster again for New Zealand.
Well, let's wait a little bit. I know it's bad, but a lot can happen. We've still got 50 minutes remaining, and it's going to be a timed race, so 50 minutes is a long way to go.
Brazil leads the race here in Durban now, chased by Canada. So the winner earlier on, Rob Wickens for Team Canada, finds himself behind the guy that he was on the front row with earlier, but in comes Brazil. So it's Canada going deep into this one. Interesting choice.
And interestingly also, it's France now up to 2nd place. Loic Duval for France has made his way all the way up in the start of the race for 8th position on the grid into 2nd. Brazil going to work on the spare car for Bruno Junqueira.
Yeah, and a fastest lap for France on that last lap as well, John. So Loic Duval is flying.
Well, I don't know what sort of tyre they're putting in the right front. There's a lot of pickup on those tyres. I hope Bruno Junqueira sees that, because when he goes back out on the racetrack, Team USA in as well, when he goes back on the racetrack, he'll have to get those tyres cleaned up as quickly as possible.
Into the pits come some of the other front runners, and including South Africa. The South African team into the pits here, looking for the fast stop, trying to get underway once again. Oh, they've got a problem on the right rear, and they've got troubles. They're going to have a slow stop as well.
Cars off the jack, it's going to roll, but once again, just the sheer stress and pressure that the teams have been under. South Africa, they've been in twice before the split stop, and just it didn't come together.
No, they lost nearly 10 seconds on that stop, so that's a nasty stop for them and cost them a lot of time. India under pressure here from Team Australia. Canada's leading this race though. Look at the battle down the main section, up to 160 miles an hour before getting on the brakes here. Parthiva Sureshwaran for Team India, much less experienced than a lot of the guys he's racing against, although he has contested a few A1GP races, so he's got some experience. He's going to have to try and hold on.
Here's the problem with the nose. Somebody just, well, that's the fact.
Oh, that's
what happened. The car coming in, and suddenly the car, New Zealand, well, whoever was flagging out New Zealand certainly did not look to see what was coming into the pit lane.
Well, that was a real mistake by the team, you have to say. He should never have been waved out. He should have been held there. And it's Canada in. Right, Canada coming in from second, although Brazil is also in. Brazil in, so we've now got France leading this race. That could work well to their advantage. Let's see where they come back out. But behind Switzerland. Behind Switzerland. So Switzerland stay ahead of Canada there. Switzerland,
but they've come out ahead of Team GBR, so Canada's come the beneficiary of that pit stop. Locks up into turn one, Vodacom corner, and Oliver Jarvis, who has been in and got his fresh tires up to speed, up to temperature, will be very, very dissatisfied to see the winner of the sprint race ahead of him.
That's right, he dropped behind him, didn't he?
He did indeed.
At the start, and so they have gained, Canada have regained a position there from Team GBR, although Jarvis is going to push hard to see if he can get it back again.
Team New Zealand under investigation. T1 incidents under investigation. It's going to be a busy day for the stewards.
That's right, but France lead now. France going deeper into this race. I tell you what, this is a great strategy from Team France. They had to play the gamble because they were further down the order. But if there's no safety car for a little while here, they could be in absolutely superb shape, and they will become a part of this potential podium finishers. I think they'll come out somewhere with Canada and Great Britain.
I wouldn't be surprised. We're on lap 13. So between 8 and 16, so France are going to have to maximise as quickly as possible. There they are in the pit, so they've decided this is the best chance to come in. It's not when you come in as much as when you go back out again. If you can get out before here, Canada we see, then following behind, they're moving. They may well come back into the field between Canada and Great Britain. There's Great Britain. No, they've not been able to do it. They're coming in behind Oliver Jarvis.
But that is still a very useful move up the order. They were down in 8th place at one point, and so now it looks like they might be, when the pit stops have all been made, about 4th. We've still got Portugal leading the race though. Portugal leads the race having not yet stopped. India is in 2nd place because they've not stopped yet either, but they are the only two really who haven't yet stopped. On board with South Africa going down the inside of the Czech Republic. That is for position, and he takes the place.
Yes, and that was an easy pass. Joseph Kral for the Czech Republic wasn't going to make life too difficult for Adrian Zaug, and Aaron now lining up behind them as well. Remember, Aaron been in and out and changing noses, so for Adam Carroll a lot more work to do, but it's Adrian Zaug that the fans here, there you see them cheering every time he comes past. The flags are waved.
Yeah, he's up to 14th place at the moment. That might be a bit further up once we've had a few more pit stops, but of course he had a slow stop, which doesn't help him too much. So on the move though, with a bit of damage to the front. He's actually, look, the front of the nose cone is wiped off his car. He was already off by the time he went past Joseph Kral.
Might help driver cooling, you know, that little bit of a hole in the nose there will blow through the car. Shouldn't have too much bearing on the overall downforce of the car, as long as that nose doesn't shred over the remaining 45 minutes and 45 seconds.
Well, he's been one of the best on the brakes into turn 1, Vodacom hairpin, no doubt about that. We've got a drive-through penalty for New Zealand, and that's the result of that incident in the pits where they collected, I think it was Team Mexico, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it obviously clearly was the fault of New Zealand, and they waved Johnny Reid out, and they must not have been aware, or if they were, they took a terrible punt. The penalty is a drive-through.
Yeah, that was a real mistake from a team which very rarely makes mistakes, I have to say, and a bit of a surprise on that one. They will pay a heavy price though, because Switzerland could well open up a much bigger lead in the championship as a result of that.
Well, Philippe Albuquerque, I believe, is about to come in, because you see the team in the pit, in the garage. In fact, they're not allowed onto the pit lane until the car has come to a stop in the box. Johnny Reid for New Zealand has completed his drive-through penalty, back out on the racetrack. So what a day for New Zealand.
Yeah, it is, but in comes Portugal. So from the race lead, Portugal now heading in. I wonder where he'll come out. He won't be up in the top few, but he'll still be in the top 10, I would think, despite this car. You remember how high it went in the air at the first start? I wonder if there is any damage around that rear suspension. Doesn't seem to be anything obvious to us.
I mean, you can just be either unlucky or lucky. Depends how it was hit, depends how it landed when it came back down. But certainly Philippe Albuquerque has done a very good job all weekend. And there is the field.
Yeah, India leading here at this, by the way, but Switzerland behind have made their stop.
Yes, I think we're going to see India get out of the way. Double quick time, good stop for Portugal. India still holding on to the lead there, saying we're going to go. We're on lap 15. He's got 1 lap to go before he has to come in, otherwise he'll be in trouble.
Yeah, this is going to cost Switzerland a bit of the advantage that they've built up over Canada. Rob Wickens is definitely getting closer. He's loving this because Switzerland are being held up, and now Canada's going to join in the fun and games, and Switzerland still can't find a way past.
Rightly so, they shouldn't, not at this point of race track, but look at Rob Wickens bumping over the curb. He's going to try and take advantage of this 3-car train as they come onto the main straight. Now, let's see if Switzerland can get past India. Remember, India is still leading this race, but yet to make their first pit stop. Closes the door, going through the curve, but down the inside goes Switzerland, but not enough to get the pass. Gives room on the inside. Switzerland will try and dive down the inside into turn 1. Rob Wickens trying to go one way, but can't do it either.
Remember, Sureshwaran is leading this race, so if he wants to fight for it, well, he's totally entitled to. He's not made his pit stop, but he's going to have to make it in the next lap or so, otherwise he'll be outside the pit lane stop window. So Switzerland are looking for that chance to get by. In comes India, and now the battle is on as Canada's going to have a little look, but decides against it.
And wisely too, it's very difficult to on the inside of turn 15. It's bumpy, and of course the track comes back at you as you exit the corner. But the top 4, Switzerland, Canada, Great Britain and France, covered by 1.2 seconds.
That's really closed things up fantastically, hasn't it? Switzerland now leading. Second place we've got in Canada, Great Britain and France. The pit stop being made by Parthiva Sureshwaran, and away he goes. Well, he led the race and he was proud to do it.
Absolutely, and very important again, bearing in mind the interest in A1GP now in India after that great win for Narain Karthikeyan in Zhuhai before Christmas.
So he rejoins behind a little gaggle of cars, Mexico, Czech Republic and Ireland. Ireland currently running in 19th position. So drive through for Lebanon. That's not really going to affect too much, although Lebanon are ahead of some of those cars we just looked at. Here comes France.
Putting the heat on Great Britain. And great Oliver Jarvis in the middle of the track. No way you can pass on either side. Trying to go around the outside. No way to cut back into turn 9.
Oh, this is good stuff between two guys who know each other well. But Duval looks very determined to try and get past that British car. No way through there. He's going to have to find a little more space.
It's going to be about momentum. He had the momentum to carry himself up to the tail of the Great Britain car. Now through this long Suncoast Boulevard, nothing you can do. Really nothing into turn 15. All you can hope is to get a good run out of this corner and possibly put yourself in a position into Vodacom corner, but it again nowhere near close enough to put a serious threat on Team GBR.
Switzerland, Canada, nothing to choose between them. Then Great Britain and France, the top 4 cars still all covered by just 2 seconds, I would say, from the front to the back of that little section. Then behind, Portugal running in a strong 5th, Netherlands in 6th, Malaysia 7th, Brazil in 8th place, Italy up to 9th, China up to 10th on that last lap, gained a place, South Africa now in 11th place, so Adrian Zaug is only 1 position outside the point. South Africa in 11th place with the Czech Republic 12th.
So China ahead, that'll be difficult. Italy, probably for China and South Africa, prospect to make it into the top 10.
Bouncing over the little bumps that head on to the fastest section of the circuit there, and that pounding away is part of the strain the drivers have to withstand. Now the American car into the pits, Team USA back on their way once more. I don't know quite why they're making a pit stop.
Well, that was a flat tire, I thought, looking at one of the engineers.
Okay.
Looked like it was a flat tire, so that was replaced, and the USA have to go back out again, and what an afternoon this has turned out to be. Unpredictable, well, that's an understatement.
It is, but Switzerland are where they want to be, where they need to be, and with their major rival New Zealand in big trouble, and France, remember, climbing back up the order here. France part of this group now in 4th place, and very important that France scores well here today. It's the last opportunity that they will have to use Loic Duval as their driver, one of the standout drivers of this 3rd season of A1GP. There's no doubt about it, but what they need is for him to move up a bit further and keep the pressure on Team Switzerland's Neil Yarni.
Well, so far this is looking like a gift horse for Switzerland and France, because New Zealand, because of that problem, is all the way down in 14th place. The incident in the pit lane, the drive-through penalty, 14th. That can translate into a points finish when we get to the end of this race, which is 39 minutes and 50 seconds to go. 31 laps to go. No chance.
No chance, no. Millimetres away from the walls on every lap, on every corner. Can they keep that up for another 40 minutes or so and keep the accuracy in these intense, hot conditions, high humidity as well, and that's what we're going to see, whether they've got that concentration. I tell you what, Switzerland has eased away a bit from Canada over the last couple of laps. Whether Canada's just going to sort of wait until we get closer to the second round of pit stops, who knows?
Well, I don't know the reason why, but Canada is lapping, what, half a second a lap quicker than pretty much everybody else. Good lap from Great Britain, though they're pretty much on the pace, as is France. It is actually Canada on the front 4 cars that's just half a second down on the last lap over the other 3 nations.
So Switzerland and Canada 1-2, Great Britain in 3rd, then France in 4th place.
It was just that one lap Canada lost that half second. They're now back immediately, running a fraction of a second quicker than Switzerland and quicker than both Great Britain and France.
Team Ireland and India both are being called into the pits for drive-through penalties. They're both quite a way down the order at the moment, so not going to make a huge difference, although India in 13th place, that will hurt any prospects they might have had of scoring points here today.
The car that is also going very well indeed is in 5th place. It's Portugal, Philippe Albuquerque. He's running 6.6 seconds behind France, but he's also running in the high 1:19s when all around him are running in the 1:20s.
Yes, and the other nation that's doing that is South Africa, but South Africa is some 6 seconds behind China at the moment, so they need to be going very quickly if South Africa's going to get in the points. There is China, so China tucked up behind Italy, but some 6 seconds behind them. South Africa going very fast.
So Edoardo Pescopo in the Italian king. I do know that on certain parts of the racetrack he's not as committed as others. And of course Frankie Cheng will be one that will be flat out through that little flick left, right, left, which leads you into Suncoast Boulevard, and that may offer the opportunity, if China can get close enough following through there, to put himself into the position. That's all he's looking for. It's through here that Italy are not as committed as everybody else is.
9th and 10th they run currently, with just up ahead of them the Brazilian car of Bruno Junqueira, who's certainly having lots of fun and games here. Look, he's a bit slow into that last corner, Italy, but then Frankie Cheng almost overran him, and as a result of that he wasn't able to maintain that momentum on the exit. I don't think, is he going to have a go? He might have a go into Vodacom corner. Oh, not quite.
That long shot, that telephoto shot, made it look as if he had gotten alongside, but he gets alongside on the exit of Vodacom corner, but can't get the job done. Now looks down the inside. No, he's not far enough up, and also it's dirty on the inside of the corner and narrows the angle that you can take the corner.
There's a tension in their faces of the Japanese, of this Chinese crew at the moment. Oh, a little lock up there from Frankie Cheng as he manages to sort it all out, slide up ahead, and also for Malaysia's Faraz Fauzi. Malaysia in a solid 7th place. Good run this for Faraz Fauzi at the moment, and they've got another chance to score useful points if they can just keep it going. Malaysia running 7th behind the Netherlands in 6th position.
They've got now the top 6 runners all lapping pretty much within a couple of tenths of a second of each other. There's a lot of pressure at the front of the field.
Yeah, lots to look for here, and we're still 10 laps away from the next pit stop window opening up, so they've got to just grind these laps away, keep pushing, try and force the guy in front into a mistake, riding on board the front nose cone of the Chinese car. There's that little flick-flack you were talking about, leading into Suncoast Boulevard, and there, the Chinese car sliding a bit.
I think Eduardo Pescopo has actually found a way to flat out through that little flip-flap. He wasn't doing it in the sprint race, but maybe he's just built up the courage, got the confidence to do so. Team USA, I think, that is coming back out of the pit lane. We don't know why they're in. They had a puncture and they've suddenly had to go back in for, how many times have they been in USA? 4 times, I think.
Yeah, there's been many pit visits by quite a lot of teams so far. Again, China trying to close that gap up to Team Italy. Remember, this is for 9th and 10th places. Still everybody looking a bit wound up down there. China had a great 4th place finish earlier on today, but they're all battling about points and prize money.
Surprisingly, very little use of power boost. Looking at the top 7 cars, they've not used any of it yet. I think they're just so busy keeping an eye on what's going on ahead of them, and the mirrors what's going on behind.
So nothing to choose between the blue Italian car and the red and yellow Chinese car as they head along the main straight now. It's so hard to get alongside somebody on this section where you're braking on the turn into turn number 9 here. Nothing doing for Frankie Cheng, but Pescopo runs it wide to the edge. Now up to turn 10. Little fairly straightforward right-hander, 90 degrees, mind the curve on the inside. Frankie wants to get past. You know he can go quicker, but it's getting alongside that matters.
Yes, and again, once you're committed to going through this low, and Italy is a little bit wide coming through, and did it hurt them? Well, it maybe did fractionally, but it puts China probably in a slightly better position to get a run off this final turn onto the main straight, and then the run into turn 1, Vodacom corner, but he hasn't been able to carry that momentum. He's going to have a look and put his car in the mirrors of Italy, closes right up, overruns the corner, as does Italy. Can the acceleration out of turn 1 get it done? No.
Piscopo shuts the door firmly as they approach turn 2. Good stuff. This is a great scrap between the two of them.
Trying to force Italy to take the inside line going into turn 2 to create the opportunity coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, but nothing changes.
Nothing changes as yet, but yeah, sense that there will be a change at some point. Mexico in the pits, they've had a pretty miserable time with lots of pit visits as well. Checking around the pedal box, I wonder what's going on there. Oh, we'll see Italy again.
Czech Republic. Has that been a little bit of contact with the wall, maybe?
Looks a bit like it. He's crawling along, isn't he? Joseph Kral, who was running in 12th place, gets well out of the way there. There's certainly something wrong with that car.
There's a battle. Team GBR with France still putting pressure on Oliver Jarvis. And again, draws up slightly closer than in previous laps. But the difficulty is he's not close enough. You've got to get absolutely alongside a car, or if you're not there, to take a big brave punt, but you need cooperation from the car you're trying to overtake, and Oliver Jarvis is not going to give an inch.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a tough encounter to try and get past him here, but Loic Duval has maintained the pressure lap after lap, and you wonder whether that might not pay off eventually. So little to choose. Great helicopter shot looking down through the Ericsson curves there, heading up towards that little chicane, tricky chicane where we saw Junqueira crash so dramatically earlier on today, up through turn 8 onto the flat out section now. But look at this, it's curving all the way. This is what happened a moment ago. China got into trouble, Italy also. Only just missed the wall.
One was almost a sympathy for the other. Did he get on the inside into turn 10? They both made an error in turn 9, but did he get alongside?
He did.
He got the pass into turn 10. All that hard work, all that chivying away, forcing the error out of Italy. Also had forced an error out of China, but China made the better recovery.
They've done it. China's done it. They've gained the place up to 9th. That means they go chasing after Brazil now, and then Italy might come under pressure pretty soon from South Africa. I'll tell you what, South Africa, you remember it was a 6-second gap from China and Italy to South Africa. Well, South Africa's right in the background now. South Africa has caught up hugely. Here's that battle though for 3rd. France having a little think. Switzerland still lead from Canada in 2nd, then Great Britain and France. Oliver Jarvis versus Loic Duval, two drivers who spent a lot of time in Japan over the last 12 months or so, got to know each other pretty well there, but they're racing for every inch here today.
Well, what Oliver Jarvis will not want is to start looking in his mirrors to check. I was talking about the Czech car actually in the pits, just to see where France is. When you get a lot of experience as a driver, you learn not to let those kind of situations affect you, not get into your head. As they bump their way out of the Ericsson complex up into turn 8, slides the car through with 25 laps to go. We're just over half distance in this race, but it's 31 minutes and 40 seconds remaining.
Well, Loic Duval is still pushing, still trying to chivvy Oliver Jarvis into a little mistake. He's trying to do what China managed to do with Italy's Edoardo Piscopo, but there is no sign of that little error so far from Oliver Jarvis. Still some way until we get the 2nd round of pit stops going underway. Look how quickly China's caught Brazil now, and in the background South Africa much closer to Italy. Here comes Frankie Cheng trotting alongside Bruno Junqueira. He's going to go for it down the inside. Great move. Can he hold it?
Yes, he can. Superb, well thought out, better execution. That's what a good racing move is all about. You do your homework where it all counts. That's coming down to the corner. Put yourself into the position, and then you deny the car you're passing the opportunity to sweep across in front of you. And now it'll be Adrian Zaug with that hole, the gaping hole. I think that hole's actually getting larger as we go through the race.
Yeah, it can't be helping him for speed down the straight, but it is a street circuit. It won't be hurting him too much, and he's closing on Italy's Edoardo Piscopo. Let's take a look at again.
Yeah, this is a copybook overtake. Brazil tried to come back, but they just didn't have the momentum at the middle of the corner, and then China just uses that opportunity just to prevent the thoughts on the part of Brazil to come back into turn 10.
I tell you what, you're brave going down the inside there. That was a great pass by Frankie Cheng, and he pulled it off to perfection. It's moved him up into 8th place. China are on a charge here. They had 4th place earlier today. What can he do this time? Well, look at that response from the Chinese crew.
Well, he's some 8.8 seconds behind Malaysia in 7, but the lap times, well, Malaysia's running in high 1 minute 20s, and that last lap from China was a 1:21.2, so that was the cause that they overtake cost time, but it gained position.
We're 5 laps away from the next round of pit stops opening up. Adrian Zaugg has got closer to this battle, but he's still not quite got onto the rear of the Italian car. There's still a little more work to do here before he's going to be in a position to really challenge. But remember, where he's so good is on the run down to Vodacom hairpin, the first corner of the track.
So he's just got to be patient. There's a lap. You got Brazil, and I'm not sure the pace of Brazil is falling away. Last lap 1 minute 22.8. Lap for Italy 1 minute 21.4. So 1.5 seconds in round numbers. That's the differential in lap time, Brazil and Italy. And these 3 cars are now getting closer together. That will work to the advantage, in my view, of South Africa, with the experience of Adrian Zaugg and the ability to judge when and when not to make a move. A little bit of blocking from Italy, fully in time to do it. You can make one move, you can't come back and block a second time.
That's right. So Adrian Zaug's trying to work this one out. They're just outside the points at the moment, South Africa, but a real opportunity of scoring points here this afternoon if they can just get past a couple of cars, make a good pit stop next time around. They had a problem on the last one. Once you've had one problem, sometimes it's a problem that recurs. It might have been a problem with the hub on that car, so let's just hope that they get a clean pit stop second time around.
Eduardo Piscopo was under pressure from China for many laps now at South Africa, and Adrian Zaugg is going to bear down, coming down onto the quickest part of the circuit. Can he repeat what we saw China so successfully achieve some laps ago? He's not close enough to the Italian car, has to wait, and you have to be patient. There's only 2 or 3 spots you might have a look, let alone a realistic chance to overtake.
Interesting signal on our timing screens that a warning flag's being presented to Team Brazil. I wonder if that's for some sort of tactics that he's been deploying, but whatever, a warning flag for Team Brazil. No other penalty as yet.
Haven't seen anything on screen that looks like he deserved a warning flag. We've got a yellow flag being waved. Something's going on down at Vodacom corner. As the South African crew sit in the pit lane and have a look and see. Again, Adrian Zaugg for South Africa, not really able to get close enough. That flag is out. He shouldn't be trying to pass down the inside. The flag is still showing an our timing and scoring is being waved. So whether he will have to drop back or whether that, well, the flag is now being taken off the screen, so I'm assuming it was taken away from the corner just before that overtaking manoeuvre.
It's another place gained by South Africa. Yeah, we couldn't see a yellow flag actually flying, and there are lots of South African flags flying now because they're in the points. He's up to 10th position. Adrian Zaugg has brought the car into 10th, and he's not far away from taking 9th from Brazil.
Just over 27 minutes in this race, remaining 22 laps. I don't think we're going to make the 22 laps. In fact, I'll tell you we're not going to make the 22 laps.
No, it's going to be a timed race, so we're just under, just over 27 minutes, as you say, and we're getting close to the time when we'll see that second round of pit stops. That's going to be so crucial. He's got to try and tuck in behind the Brazilian car, behind Bruno Junqueira. Needs to get a little closer yet before he can really put a move on him. But I said it was turn 1 where he's so strong on the brakes, and that's where he worked that move to perfection, getting past the Italian car. I wonder if he could do that to Junqueira. Junqueira might fight it a little more vigorously than Eduardo Piscopo.
In the meantime, the gap between leader Switzerland, Canada in the second, 0.8 of a second. And I'm expecting as soon as the pit lane window is open to see both Switzerland and Canada dive into the pit lane, and the race will be won or lost as who comes out first.
Here comes Adrian Zaugg. He's not close enough this time to try the move on Team Brazil's Bruno Junqueira, so locks in behind him once again, and no place is gained. Italy still following. Italy still running in 11th place now, just outside the points for Team Italy.
Yeah, the task for Bruno Junqueira is going to be, he's got a much more experienced driver in Bruno Junqueira than Eduardo Piscopo, and he knows how to conserve a position, and it's going to mean either a big punt down the inside, or he's going to try and catch out Brazil much in the same way we saw China catch out Italy a little earlier.
You saw India in the pits, and that must be a problem because the pit lane, the pit window has not opened up for the second time yet, so they must have had a problem. That's allowed Lebanon to go up to 13th position now as they are sitting in the pits.
It may just be quite simply that it's exhaustion. There's an error in the part on both drivers.
Yeah.
In fact, on leaving all 3 drivers, USA has pulled into the garage and their afternoon's work's finished.
Well, maybe it's finished. Maybe they'll send him on his way again. Who knows? It is worth it, as we said, that if you've got anything left in the car, it's worth to keep pushing. There's your race leader, and in fact, fastest lap for Team Switzerland. That was said a while ago, but Neil Yarni is controlling this race from the Canadian Robert Wickens, who won earlier on today. These two pretty much ahead of the battle for third, still going on between Great Britain and France, but it is over now for Jonathan Summerton. he walks to the back of the pit garage. All over for Team USA, and they're going to have to look towards Mexico, where he was such a star last year for the next round of the championship.
They're on the 29th lap of this race, so the pit lane window will be open. So we wait to see whether we do get a file of cars making it into the pit lane. There's a little bit of a gap. Benefiting Team GBR as well. Loic Duval for France has dropped back just over a second behind the Great Britain car, and with the pit stop window opening, maybe what we will see is France stay out if others go in, and for France to try and use that clear track to build up that little bit of extra time. Is anybody going in? Yeah, can't see the pit lane exit, pit lane entrance.
One more lap, I think, before they're allowed to come in, isn't it?
No, they've just...
They'll do 29 this time around.
So coming in the end of this lap. They're on lap 29 now.
So we'll see. Next time around they could well be in. Then it will be a battle of the pit crews in this high heat and high humidity. They've got to avoid making any mistakes and change all four wheels as quickly as possible. Zaug has not been able to put any more of a challenge on the Brazilian car. Maybe he's going to try and depend on a quick pit stop himself to get out ahead.
So everybody running in either the high 19s or the middle 20s there. We see the Swiss team ready for the second stop of the afternoon for Switzerland. We don't know whether Canada's preparing yet or not. We look at Brazil, South Africa and Italy, and Adrian Zaug probably just deciding, as South Africa may well have chosen to do, to wait it out. Italy or India back out on track, and the gap has actually opened up quite significantly from Switzerland to Canada. Where did that all happen? It's 2.2 seconds. It used to be just 0.8 of a second. Was that a mistake from Canada, or was it, well, the lap time was 120.9 for Canada, 119.6, 1.3 seconds was lost by Canada on that lap.
And he's losing more here behind India, so this is costing Canada dearly here. This is not what they wanted at all. I think you'll see them into the pits this time around. Yes, they are heading in, and Great Britain also into the pits. Now, interestingly, deciding to stay out again is France. They're going for it with clear air. Good decision from Team France. Has to be the way to go.
So Switzerland, Canada, Great Britain in. And for France, well, I think they've done what they did in the first round of pit stops, and that's the right thing for France. They've got a clear racetrack. They can use the natural speed we know that Loic Duval and the French car have got, and they will try and pick up maybe 2-3 tenths of a second each lap to gain margins of an advantage.
Let's watch who comes out first then. It should be Switzerland. It is Switzerland. Canada, oh, he almost clipped one of his own guys. Great Britain gets away, so order is resumed. But what is interesting is France has stayed out there and might be able to gain an edge. Here comes Canada trying to get in front of China.
Trying to get down, China trying to get down the inside of Canada, and Canada did not want to let Frankie Cheng get in ahead of him, so he wants to keep in contact with the Swiss car, and Frankie Cheng had to get the car all sideways to avoid slamming into Canada's car.
Well, we'll be into some confusion for a little while. Well, some have stopped and some haven't. Portugal have moved up to second now because they have not made the pit stop. South Africa, vital stop here for South Africa in their battle with the likes of Brazil. He should stay ahead of Italy, which he does. Italy gets going, and they've beaten Brazil. South Africa's pit crew has done the business for Adrian Zaug, and they've done the work of getting him past Bruno Junqueira.
He's now got again a clear track ahead of him, the natural pace of the South Africa car. Adrian Zaug, he can now do some work. They were up to 10th place. He can now concentrate on trying to run down. In effect, it was at one point Malaysia, but that of course has all changed with the pit stop sequences. And not everybody has come in at the earliest opportunity.
And the crowd realise that they've got that car past Brazil. So important. What a great stop by his crew when he needed it most. And Adrian Zaug, another opportunity to perhaps move up the order. Watch for some quick laps coming from him now. Into the pits comes Filipe Albuquerque of Team Portugal. He's been driving superbly on his A1GP debut. Can he keep it up for the remainder? Malaysia into the pits as well.
The key to this race is going to be the pace that France can run at. The last lap France has recorded 1 minute 19.5. We're waiting to see what Switzerland, Canada and Great Britain will do on their fresh rubber. They're just back out. Their lap times are not relative. They've got to get that extra lap. Malaysia also makes its way back onto the circuit.
Looked like a pretty smooth stop for Malaysia. China into the pits as well. Waiting for the all clear. Away goes Frankie Cheng. In the background, Australia coming into the pits. Well down the order. 15th place for Australia at the moment. But the Jackaroo's still out there, and John Martin still
South
going.
Africa comes up. They're running up to the back of China. The best chance South Africa's going to have is to get past China on this out lap.
France is in now. This is it, John. This is crucial. A crucial stop for Team France. How quick has he been able to go over the last lap or so?
1 minute 19.5. He only got one full flying lap. He's come in the next lap. So he's decided, and France have decided to come in and get this wheel change done as quickly as possible.
Made a little mistake turning into his pit box there. Don't quite know what happened.
Well, he isn't going to get out of these two cars. Switzerland and Canada are coming down to turn 15, under brakes into turn 15. The wheels and tires are on the French car, but is it rolling? Yes, it is. Can he get out? Can he split? Can he split the lead two cars? No, he can't. He's going to come out. He's going ahead of Great Britain.
He's gone in front of Great Britain. Canada on a charge. Here comes Ollie Jarvis. Oh, he's overshot the corner. He's just about made it round. He tried to get back in front of France. Well, he nearly overshot it completely, but he's still on.
France knew they had to do one thing, that was get from the left of the track to the right to prevent Oliver Jarvis doing the same to him. And Oliver Jarvis just over around the corner. That was a legitimate move. Tough, hard, professional motor racing, but that's what they're here.
Black flag for Team India, and he's had to withdraw, so I'm not sure what that one's around, but Team India out of the race. Black flag, no further play for Parthiv Sureshwaran. Well, drama indeed. Switzerland and Canada, nothing much to choose between them, but France have used that slightly later pit stop to their advantage. A great stop by the French crew, and now they're looking at a podium finish, having started 8th on the grid, and in the battle of the championship, desperate to try and close that gap on Switzerland, who have the edge in this feature race.
So the gap we're waiting to see as when they come around at the end of this lap. And that is what happened. Oliver Jarvis shot down the outside, thinking he can go the long way around, carried too much speed, just too late in the brakes, and had to take the very, very long way around Vodacom corner.
Worth a go though, wasn't it?
He had no choice, he had to do it. In a situation like this where France have come out and they've gone to the inside of the track, you've got little choice but to go down the outside into the corner, but of course he was just too late and paid the penalty.
Yeah, but it was a good effort. That was the reaction of the French crew, because they got their guy ahead of Team GBR, and that had been a battle going on for lap after lap. There'll be disappointment there on the British pit wall, but that's part of the game, and the French played it very cleverly, just taking that slightly later stop. They were able to take advantage of it, and that was disappointing, but this race isn't over yet. There's still 18 minutes or 15 laps. It'll be the 18 minutes that comes in first, and there's still time to go, still plenty of time for mistakes to be made as well.
So Switzerland, Canada running within 1.5 tenths of a second of each other. France in third there, just ahead of Great Britain, and now we see South Africa.
Yeah, closing on China. This is for 8th place now. South Africa trying to move up another position in that top 10.
It's going to be difficult for Adrian Zhang. We've seen how feisty Frankie Cheng for China has been. He's not going to give up the opportunity to take the points for 8th place. He's got South Africa breathing all over them. A lot of motivation for South Africa and a lot for China.
And a quick mention of Portugal running in 5th place. Philippe Albuquerque on his debut, running in a very solid 5th position in tremendous heat and difficult conditions, and he is driving very, very well indeed. So Portugal seem to have found themselves quite a star in Philippe Albuquerque. We'll be seeing more of him, I'm sure, but it's the host nation that we're watching here. Can he do anything to close the gap a little more to China? Up ahead of them, by the way, Malaysia, but they're quite a long way ahead, some 8 seconds up the road, so they're going to have to work hard to close that gap.
And they've also got Ireland in the mix. Ireland, of course, a number of laps down, well, in fact, 1 lap down, and I'm sure Adam Carroll will allow these cars to go through. He'll be required to do so, as he is a lap down. This is a battle for position, a battle for points. But of course the driver will only try and do it. He's pulling him over to the right and letting China go through. Will he allow South Africa to go through at the same time? I think he's going to do that, and that's only fair from Ireland.
Yeah, a good move that from Adam Carroll. He is, to say, one of the most sporting drivers out there. When he's not in a situation that he can do anything, then he will try and help others. So that's good news, and Adrian Zhang doesn't get hindered by the Irish car. He can continue that chase, but China's car is very fast. Frankie Cheng driving superbly here today. It's not going to be easy at all to close it down.
Well, the pace of these two cars running in 8th and 9th position is precisely the pace of the cars leading this race.
We gather the black flag for India was for 3 pit stop violations in the pits.
I think that he was just absolutely exhausted. He forgot to push the speed limit button, or if he did, maybe it isn't working. Sometimes that happens, and particularly in extreme conditions, and you just get caught. But doing it 3 times, you have to say, guilty gov.
New fastest lap for New Zealand, by the way. They just set the new fastest lap. That might gain them 1 point, but they're down in 12th place and some 4.8 seconds behind Brazil. So they're not that likely to score points unless something fairly miraculous happens.
Well, the pace that he's running at him, he's running, well, that last lap, 18.7. is the best part of 1.67 seconds quicker than both Italy and Brazil. We've got 13 laps to go. The reality is we've got 15 minutes to go. It is possible, but it would be once to catch them, a second thing to pass them.
Yeah, there he is, in fact, in the Black Beauty. So he could perhaps get, certainly in Brazil,
China's now got the fastest race lap.
Well, that's pretty impressive, yeah. China.
I did say that group of cars, that South Africa and China were running at the pace of the cars at the very front of the field. Well, that not only confirms it, we've seen it now as fastest lap, and maybe Frankie Cheng's beginning to ease away from Adrian Zaug in South Africa's car, on and in for a pit stop. So the gap between South Africa and China the last time passed 1.7 seconds, and it looks like it's going to grow.
They have to do something else rather than just the wheel change there, something else that seat belts, or he's taken the steering wheel off. So there's a problem with the steering wheel. Oh dear, it's just not working out for Ireland at all, is it?
Well, I don't know what the problem is, and there is a battle for the lead of this race, and now Rob Wickens is right on the tail. Whether the Czech car got into the way or not, I don't know.
That was interesting, he got right on the tail, but then it seems to just lose a bit of performance off the corner. I don't know what happened there.
Either in the short gauge you can clip the rev limiter, and that would be enough just to give you a momentary stall.
Yeah, it looks like something like that. Looked like it suddenly just died for a second and then picked up again, so could well have been that. Over the curves they go, still bouncing their way through that chicane. Pushing on hard. Now I think that there were new tyres on the Swiss and Canadian car. I think France had old tyres, so initially they would have had the edge, but now maybe France will come back at them. Let's get a bit of an update and an opinion from Swiss rookie driver Marcel Flaster. Marcel, what do you reckon on what's happening?
Yeah, it was a really tight pit stop between Canada and Switzerland. And now the Canada is doing a lot of pressure on the Swiss team, but now at the moment it looks that the team Neil can react and can a bit make a gap between them. But still, what I see now, the Canadian can do a really good pace at the moment and keep the pressure on.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right there, and it's an impressive performance this from Rob Wickens. Neil Yarni, of course, much more used to these long races. Fair enough, Robert Wickens has done a few A1GP events, but in these sort of temperatures, this sort of heat, it's not an easy task at all. And Yarni, who looked as though he would win the feature race here in the very first season we were at Durban, actually, he was leading the race and looked to be well placed, had brake problems right at the end, if you remember. He did still finish the race, still got a podium, but it cost him the victory. So don't forget, things can happen right in the closing stages of the race here in Durban.
So the gap between first and second is basically back to status quo, whatever the reasons were, where Canada could run down the Swiss car. It may simply have been just caution on the part of Switzerland going into turn one with the Czech car in, approaching the corner, but back now to the end of the straight. And Rob Wickens just shadowing every move of the Swiss car, but not being able to offer a challenge. We've got 12 minutes 20 seconds of the race remaining, and the only hope is that for Rob Wickens, maybe that Neil Yarni, having not felt 100%, he told us that on the podium after the sprint race, that his stamina may be on the limit, and if the young 18-year-old from Canada's got more gas in the tank, well, maybe he can put pressure and force an error. Right now, it doesn't look like it.
No, they will be lapping other cars fairly soon though, so that might just add to the mix, might give Rob Wickens a hint of an opportunity, and it only takes the slightest mistake, and I'm sure he's going to take it to try and get alongside. Don't forget France right in there as well, and Canada with a very good second sector on that last lap, still showing very good pace. It is a loose steering wheel on Team Ireland's car that's causing the problem. I wonder if they're going to be able to send him out again or not, but it's not looking good at the moment.
Well, I don't know how you can have a loose steering wheel. It is a detachable steering wheel. John Martin dives down and the inside does he get that pass on Khalil Bashir? Yes, he does. So Australia, and they're battling away in 14th position. They're running, in fact, they've gone to 13th. That was a pass 4 position, so Australia have taken 13th position away from Khalil Bashir and Lebanon.
Yeah, John, as we know, he was in hospital all night last night on a drip. There's Joseph Krall keeping out of the way. New Zealand has caught Brazil now. So New Zealand, who've been lapping very quickly, has caught right up to the back of the Brazilian car.
This is for the last point for 10th position. So that will be a very valuable point. They did have the fastest lap for a moment. That's gone now to China. So Johnny Reid needs to get 1 point out of this if he can. Put pressure on the Brazilian driver and force an error. Look, he's so much quicker through the entrance to the Ericsson complex, and can't do anything in the complex. It's only when you get out of it and get up to turn 8, then the run down that long straight into turn 9. So he will look for a good drive off this corner, try to get under the wing, try to put himself in position to get alongside, as we saw trying to do earlier in the race.
Let's see if they can do it. Oh, there's an incident between Canada and Great Britain. Canada and Great Britain could both be out of this race.
Well, Canada's definitely out. The left rear of the car is broken. What happened, we will see. And look, Great Britain right in the middle of the racetrack. The left rear of the Canada car has been damaged. It is broken. That car will be pushed away. So Canada out. Great Britain possibly out.
Second place Canada were, let's see what happened here, John. They weren't that close, I didn't think. Canada.
No, that's Switzerland and Canada.
Oh, he clipped the wall. He clipped the wall on the inside.
Really, he spun it, and then he tries it. France goes through. Now he's going to loop the car and goes.
Whoa.
Well. I thought the pressure was going to be on Switzerland, but in fact it was Canada who bowed to the pressure. Look, Team GBR on the pit wall, cannot believe it. They've been taken out by Canada trying to spin the car on, and that is all over for Team GBR. They've been taken out by an unforced situation, and Canada's out, Great Britain's out, and that now changes the complexion. Netherlands are in play, as is Malaysia. So it's Switzerland, Netherlands and Malaysia.
What's happened to Portugal?
France is second, I beg your pardon.
Portugal suddenly dropped down the order as well. I was just about to say they could be on for a podium, but Portugal's dropped way down as well. So something's happened to Team Portugal. Whether they got caught up in that as well, quite possibly. But can you believe it? Rob Wickens, who's driven so well here today, he took the win. France now come up into second place. For Loic Duval, this is a huge chance because he will definitely go on the attack after the restart. We've got the safety car out there. They're all slowed right up behind the safety car, but France now second, and it brings the Netherlands up to third. Well, who'd believe that? Jeroen Bleekemolen's been consistent all afternoon. They won here in the past. Can they do it again? Jeroen Bleekemolen up to third. Malaysia is up to fourth now, John. What a result this could be for Malaysia. Fourth place, fifth place China, and sixth place South Africa. The host nation will now be running in sixth place. What a difference this has made.
And another beneficiary will be New Zealand in 11th place. They'll automatically leapfrog up into 9th place.
Well, I have to feel for Ollie Jarvis there, though, because there was absolutely nothing he could do about that. Canada car was just trying to rejoin. Part and parcel of the restrictive nature of a street track. He's got going at last, and well, he'll have to try.
And the seat belts are undone, so he's going to have to come into the pits anyway to get those seat belts reattached. He will not on the nose. You can see the wing itself has been attached. We are waving those cars through. We're still under the safety car. Now, I don't know whether he's permitted to do that or not, or whether under the circumstances might be called force majeure. The seat belts are undone, and therefore in the interest of safety he needs to go at a much slower pace than those two cars.
Well, that really has woken things up here with the incident taking out both Canada and Great Britain. What a shame, when it looked like Canada were heading for at least a second podium of the day. Great Britain had dropped to fourth after that pit stop, but was still in the hunt. But now, once again, trying to take two podium finishes on one day has proved to be too difficult for Team GBR. It just doesn't seem to be coming together for them. Interestingly, the Lebanon car is between Switzerland and France here, so when they do get the restart in a little while, that will have a bearing.
I think it'll be sharp right for Lebanon and let France go down on the racing line into turn one. I'm sure Khalil Bashir, the team, will be on the radio telling him, do not get in the way of France. There's a battle going on for the lead of this race. There's also a battle going on for who will end up winning the Nations Cup at the end of the season that France has.
Oh, Czech Republic car still going. Let's take another look at this incident. Canada clips the wall.
Clipped it. I mean the gap that you leave normally, and then France almost gets caught. Rob Wickens then tries to spin it round. The wheel bumps the inside of the car, and of course poor Oliver Jarvis comes around the corner, and he has got nowhere to go whatsoever.
I wonder if Portugal then came round and got caught into that. I don't know. There was the contact. Let's go down and hear some news from Simon Hill in pit lane.
Well, as you may have seen on the screens there, the Team France guys are looking very anxious because there is Team Lebanon between them and Switzerland at the restart. So Eric Bouillet, team manager of Team France, came sprinting up the pit lane to speak to the guys at Team Lebanon and asked if they get Khalil to cooperate at the restart and give Loic Duval some room.
But of course, Loic Duval's not allowed to pass him until they get to the line.
That's correct. But of course, Khalil Bashir in the Lebanon car doesn't have to force the issue. He can just get offline or just back off early and let that opportunity for France to get past cleanly and unimpeded to do so. GBR back out, but of course, what a disaster having driven great race in the sprint race and being in position to have a podium finish in this feature race.
Khalil's been told for Lebanon, keep up with the Swiss car if you possibly can, and he's trying to do that. He's trying to respond. He's going to try and stay on the gearbox, but of course Neil Yarni will know he's got a relatively inexperienced driver behind him and try and take advantage. The safety car is due in, so they are building up to the restart here, and we'll see how Yarni decides to run it. He's taking it very slowly. He's got a great opportunity to open a gap over France here, and then in behind them we've got the Netherlands, who've also got a car in between themselves. There goes Yarni, and look, you see Lebanon doesn't really respond, and this is hurting France. France not allowed to overtake until he gets to the line. Lebanon moves out of the way, and across the line they go.
Well, in fact, he overtook probably before the line, only because Lebanon pulled off and lifted off, and then you see Khalil Bashir cruising down.
South Africa down the inside and hits.
Oh, the accident. Portugal hits Italy, and New Zealand gets trapped as well. And I mean, just like a cannon, just out of control, rolling into turn, into the boat. Oh, fire at the back of the Dutch car. Something has damaged the oil radiators or oil lines, and we've got 5 cars in turn 1, Bodø corner. It has seen all the action here today, and how many cars are going to make it to the end? We've got 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and this race may well finish under a safety car.
Oh, what a pity. The guy had driven so well today. Adrian Zaug had made up so many places, but that was just trying a little too hard, I think. He went for it. You can't say he disgraced himself in trying to go for the move, but to be honest, we looked optimistic. Great Britain goes through. I tell you what, there's an opportunity, and New Zealand got caught in that, John, so
yes,
they're now in trouble.
So they were also one of the innocent parties in that incident. And South Africa and New Zealand were fundamentally the 2 nations that were hoping. Let's look again and see a big punt down the inside, 3 into that will not go. Slams hard into the side of the Netherlands car, and then China just about gets away. Then Italy backs up. You see, I think it's Brazil and New Zealand.
Dramatic fire on the Dutch car. I don't often see that.
Well, that's just simply one of the oil lines or a connector, and the oil getting onto the exhaust. But you know, no way, Adrian Zaug, you could go down there. That was optimistic beyond anybody's imagination.
So, lots more cars damaged. Let's take a look at it from Adrian's point of view. Quite a long way back, decides to go for it.
No way at that speed on that line with the curb coming back towards you. You get launched hard into the side. The oil radiator gets damaged. The oil gets on the exhaust. That's what we saw. Malaysia manages to get away with it and get round the outside.
Malaysia again gets round it. I'm just looking at the timing and scoring. Portugal's now being shown 3rd again, so I did wonder what had happened to Portugal, and it seems as though it might have been a timing and scoring problem that put him down. We'll have to check that in a little while. But Portugal may well be on for a podium finish here, you know. And what I want to know is when they come around next time, what's happening just at the bottom end of the top 10. There might be some people on for points who could never have expected it. Well, we'll wait and see.
Well, we always know on a street track, and this is our only street track in the year, that it is a maverick in terms of what will be the result after the 48 laps or the 69 minutes plus 1 lap. And we've seen incident upon incident on the opening lap. At the restart here now further into the race, cars severely damaged, and there we see Brazil with the spare car being craned away, and Brazil, their own race car, will have to be sent back to England to be repaired, and it looks like that spare car may also need a little bit of work on it.
I don't want to speak too soon, but I think there might actually be a very real chance here for Lebanon to score a point. Now, that is quite an exciting prospect, because Lebanon have never ever scored a point in A1GP. I'm not sure about it yet. It does depend on how long the race goes, because some people are classically, he's a couple of laps down, but we've only got about a lap and a bit to go. It may not be that they can do it, because cars that have crashed out might actually have finished more of the race than them.
So there's the time. We're almost at 1.5 minutes to go, plus that 1 lap. So until the field filters its way past the start-finish line and we get an update on the order.
Oh, red flag. He won't get a point. It's a red flag, so I don't think he will get a point. And Team Portugal have got a podium. Team Portugal have finished 3rd. It's Switzerland who've taken the victory here, but France 2nd and Portugal 3rd.
Remember, also the results will go back 1 lap, not what we are seeing on screen. It will be 1 lap back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. I'm confused now, but looking at it as it stands, I think Portugal have got a podium out of this with their brand new driver, Philippe Albuquerque. Switzerland have definitely won the race. There's no doubt about that. For the 2nd time today, the race finishes under red flag, but Switzerland have taken the victory. They've taken the win. They've taken the $200,000 prize, but more importantly for them, they've taken the 15 points for the victory, and that has given them a very, very useful margin. France have recovered recovered after a very difficult start to the weekend with second place, 12 vital points for them as well. So that really does keep their chances alive. It's New Zealand who are the big losers. But what about Portugal? Moving up there into Parc Fermé, it looks as though Filipe Albuquerque on his debut has come home third place for Portugal, and that's one of their best ever results. Victory for Neil Yarni. He's done it. He's held on under intense pressure from Canada, most notably throughout that race, and he goes over to Loic Duval. What a result it is for both of them, and it does put both nations that little bit clear of New Zealand as this exciting World Cup of Motorsport continues, and surely is going to go all the way to the final round at Brands Hatch in May. Oh, Jeroen Bleekemolen walks back again, a damaged car. He can't believe it. He got clouted by Germany in race 1 and taken out by South Africa here in race 2 in the feature race. Confusion at the end of the race, but the classification at the end of 41 laps. Actually, the Netherlands are classified 4th. I'm just looking at our timing screens. There's the result for Portugal. Filipe Albuquerque has taken 3rd, and that is a tremendous result on his debut. The youngster, what a star he is, and the 22-year-old former winner of the Formula Renault Euro Cup in Europe, and coming into A1GP this weekend. Well, who would have thought he could have got a podium out of it? But the Netherlands have been classified 4th, let me tell you. Malaysia have come home 5th after all that. That's a great result. China 6th, and South Africa are classified after all that in 7th place. So despite that incident, South Africa are classified 7th, Italy 8th, Brazil 9th, and New Zealand have got a point for 10th position. Well, that really...
Welcome back to Durban, South Africa, the venue for the street race in the A1GP calendar. Neil Yarni can enjoy his moment on top of the podium. He's now the top prize money winner in the A1GP series. A hugely exciting feature race. There's several restarts and an awful lot of crashes out there on the Durban street circuit. France recovering to finish in 2nd. They'll be enjoying their moment too. And Team Portugal, who managed to finish in 3rd. Confirmation then of exactly how it did end this feature race from Durban. Switzerland taking victory, a great weekend for them, and in particular for Neil Yarni, recording their 5th win in total. France recovering to finish in 2nd spot, as I said, and Filipe Albuquerque, an incredible 3rd place finish for him. 4th time that Portugal have finished on the podium. Points table looks like this then. After round 7, Switzerland extending their lead at the top of the table to 118 points, 10 points off the pace now. Team France, who have certainly extended their lead over New Zealand, who, it has to be said, have been the big losers this weekend. South Africa still on 83 points, despite a pretty disastrous weekend for them all round. Germany on 77, and Great Britain still in the mix on 70 points as things stand. So where do we start with that feature race, which it had several moments of high drama in it? John Surtees was just holding on to his chair, watching the excitement unfold. And John, let's talk about the start then. It happened several times, but let's start with the very beginning. New Zealand making the most of it. Neil Yarni also making the most of his first start.
Yes, well, we saw a degree of brain fade, didn't we, in both instances. In the first one, you had Oliver, of course, trying to sort of make the very most of going around the outside, but this in turn brought New Zealand into a situation where they didn't really need to do anything. But we had that first start problem, which, frankly, is a long race, and it was pointless. We then, of course, had a second start. And the second start, you had the case of where Germany was taken out, and this was quite ridiculous, really, because there's nowhere that they could go.
Clearly, as John Watson was saying, this corner does need to be treated with kid gloves. He referred to some of the drivers as a little dumb for all racing at this corner altogether, and saying that 3 abreast really was never going to happen through this corner. How should have they approached it as drivers?
Well, it's always very, very difficult because it is extremely bumpy on the outside, and of course the important thing is to get down on the inside line, which one protects the corner and two, you know, allows you to control the corner overall. But when you get three people coming in, they all have to turn in and you start collecting wheels and such like. It's a question of where you've got to exercise a lot of discipline. But we've got to remember that A1 is about introducing lots of young drivers, but also a few of the not so young drivers. And in one stage you've got the pressure on drivers trying to recreate their careers, and on the other you've got ones trying to create their careers, and so there's a little bit of red mist which comes about.
Let's talk about the ones who made a sensible choice, or not, depending on your theory. But the top group certainly pitted straight away when the opportunity was presented to them. Was that the right thing to do on what is a street circuit and is prone to flag situations?
Yes, I think so, although France played it very carefully. And I think very well. I think that France went out and stayed out just a little longer and in turn benefited from it. You saw particularly on the second stop. So they in turn I think played it the best. You had a situation whereby when we're back to the first corner again, you had the Wicken incident. The Wicken incident was one where I think he was trying to be too careful. He didn't have red mist at that point. The only point that he had an indiscretion was when he tried to do the recovery. But on the other point, he was just trying to be too careful and came in too close, and the barrier tends to extend a little further than you think. And he turned and clipped it.
New Zealand lost their nose coming into the pits. Driver error, some might say, but they had to take a drive-through penalty as a result of it. How costly could this be, not just for this race, but for the series?
Very costly, because you've got Neil Gianni on a roll, haven't you? You've got him, and also France, you know, coming along doing a very solid job. But Neil Gianni, it's a stable team. He's going to be driving the car for the next races, whereas with France, we don't know who's going to be driving the car. So you have a situation where Switzerland has taken the initiative.
Let's just take a look at what happened between Team Canada and Team GBR. High carnage, changed the face of the race. Gave France, of course, the chance to go on the attack, but how big a blow was this for both Canada and GBR?
Well, GBR had to gain points. In order to come back into contention for the championship, we had to get points on the British car. And it's a great shame because of a close relationship between the Canadian car and the British car. But as I said earlier, it was a mistake by Wickens, but a mistake not taken on just trying to gain an advantage. It's a mistake trying to be careful because of the car which was on the outside. And so, yes, it's a major blow for the GB and its catch-up thing, and a lesson for young Wickens.
Yes, a lesson learned. John, thanks very much indeed. Next up, it's Mexico for A1GP, by the way. GBR will have good memories to draw on going into this one.
Cars all over the place. Can you believe it? And the victory is going to go to Alexium, to Team Malaysia.
And there is the end of the race for France.
Oh, there it is. Look how close they are. It's going to be the first ever win for Team GBR. Oliver Jarvis takes victory for Great Britain.
Qualifying from Mexico, Saturday, March the 15th, starting at 8, Sky Sports 3. Then join us Sunday the 24th. Same time, same channel for the sprint race, followed by the feature. Don't forget that tonight, our live and exclusive coverage of this season's NASCAR continues with the Auto Club 500. Starts at 9, Sky Sports Extra. It was all going so well for GBR this weekend until they were dealt a cruel blow courtesy of Canada. Durban proved to be anything but predictable. See you next time. More sport, news and views at skysports.com.